Good evening, everyone. Happy Halloween, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League, where tonight on Ignition Zone, we're going to take a look at last week's action before getting into this week's playoff cutoff race, the regular season championship, the Southern 200 from Darlington Raceway. Tonight on Ignition Zone, we're here to ignite your passion for speed, power, and adrenaline-fueled action. We're here to relive the pulse-pounding moments from the last race where inches made all the difference and speed and strategy collide on the asphalt background. I'm your host for tonight, Zach Lindler, alongside Alex Gagnon in the booth. In the Halloween costumes. That is certainly something. Oh my gosh.
Hey man, right now the spinach puffs are getting ready to go for the party tomorrow, but in the meantime, sounds like a prime opportunity for us to not only say happy Halloween to everyone tuning in tonight, but also a prime opportunity to take a look back at what was our fastest race of the season to this point so far with our recap of Watkins Glen. It was certainly a thrilling one, to be sure.
Yeah, last week's 110 at the Glen was won on pit road by Ohio State and Matthew Morton. That was his second race win of the season, edging out our Muhammad Aleef for the victory on pit strategy on pit road. Matthew Morton and Aleef were 1-2 pretty much the whole race. Aleef was ahead. And then the two came into pit road at the same time, stopped right behind each other on pit road, and Aleef watched Morton take no tires while Aleef took 0, and that was the move that secured Matthew Morton the win, his second of the season. So that puts him currently second in the playoffs behind Logan Clampett and in front of our other winners this season, Drew Jawa, Tim Moore, and Matt O'Brien. But it was a really exciting race with plenty of action from start to finish. The only race this season where you're going to see the College Cup Series turn right. So if you want to see that spectacle, go rewatch the VOD from last week on the CIL Twitch and YouTube channels. But we're going to take a quick look at the recap from last week, start of the race, some few big action points, and the end of the race. Done, but we've got 45 laps of road course ringer racing here in the CIL. 2 races left until we cut to our top 10 playoff drivers. Who's going to make their way in? Who's going to use tonight's race as their way to lock themselves into the playoffs? It's going to be our Muhammad Aleef at the point, leading the field to the green. The pace car makes its way onto pit road, and Aleef hits the gas early. Barney throws the green, and we're road racing in the Cup Series.
On the front stretch, here we go. So we have Andrew Burl in that purple car in the 888, DeLong in the blue 22. He got a fair bit of separation going into turn 1, but breaks early. DeLong tried really driving it in deep, just clipped the rear corner. And that spin going sideways actually, I think, slowed down Burl's momentum enough where he didn't make heavy contact with the wall. DeLong went straight on into that tire barrier, and we can definitely see the effects of that on the front of his car now as he's running with that big cave-in on.
And if we're going to see him, yep, there he is through turns 10 and 11 for the final time. And for third time this season, and the second week in a row, he's going to come clean out of the final corner. He sees the checkered flag in front of him. Matthew Morton and Ohio State are going to win the 110 at the Glen. It was a thrilling, exciting, and exhilarating race. Exactly what we would expect out of some College Cup Series road racing here in the CIL. And Matt Morton was able to walk away with the win. And some concern for our Muhammad Aleef. He did finish second, but he is on the outside looking in of our playoffs for this season. He made the championship 4 last season, and now he is 26 points below the cut line in the top 10 to make the playoffs this time around. So last chance for Aleef, as well as Colin Culpa and a lot of our other drivers below the cut line tonight to make their way into the College Cup Series playoffs, potentially with a win or by outscoring the drivers who haven't won that are currently in the top 10.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot to race for here, and in particularly in the situation of Aleef that you mentioned. Obviously, we thought Watkins Glen was going to be his best bet to pick up a victory here in the regular season, but I think tonight at Darlington actually is his second best opportunity. He finished second there back in the spring on that last lap lunge that didn't pay off against Connor Levy of Arizona State, that fierce battle that went right down to the final corner. So We know Aleef can really manage his tires here at the Lady in Black, and this might be another prime opportunity for him to find his way in. Also, could be another opportunity here for guys like Colin Culpa and Drew Williams, who both ran really well at this event back in the spring. So much still to race for, and obviously you see the first two out on the graphic here, but there's so many other drivers still within the top 20 in points that a win out of nowhere could propel them in and kick one of those guys 6th through 10th out of the playoff picture. So still so much on the line coming into this regular season finale at Darlington tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say Clint Halterman, if he crosses the finish line tonight on the lead lap or even a lap down, he will have pointed his way in. 39 points to the good at the moment. He has almost an entire race lead over that 10th place car of Drew Williams, and he's got 14 points of a gap back to Colin Culpa, back 26 to Muhammad Aleef. But in between them, Tim Robb, Jake Cummings, and Duncan O'Connor also in the mix as well. Jake Cummings and Tim Robb, seasoned veterans of the CIL. Tim Robb, of course, one of the final four last season. Duncan O'Connor in his rookie season as well, in a good spot to point his way into the playoffs. But an interesting thing to notice is all of our drivers who have secured themselves in with a win are rookies.
Yeah, well, at least when it comes to the next gen series, that is for sure. We saw Matthew Morton find success in that Gen 4 season over the summer, but when it comes to the next gen series, that is the bread and butter here of the CIL. There no repeat winners from the spring to here just yet, including a couple of the names like you mentioned, like an Muhammad Aleef or a Drew Williams, Jerry Kaler, Clint Halterman. So many big names that are still looking for their first victory of the fall here. And time's starting to run out. It's the regular season finale, and then there's the 4 playoff races. So only 5 more opportunities, 5 more chances to go out and get a win here this fall for not only yourself, but also your university. And, every race that goes by, the odds of getting it done are going to get that much tougher as the competition continues to ratchet up the closer we get to the championship.
And I believe we've got an interview lined up for tonight. This is going to be Duncan O'Connor from Nova Scotia Community College, one of the rookies who's had such an incredible season and can point his way into the playoffs tonight or win and lock his way in. 16 points above the cut line, 2 points above Drew Williams there in 10th. Duncan, congratulations on making it this far in your rookie season. What an incredible performance from the single car Nova Scotia Community College team. But how are you feeling about Darlington tonight being the cutoff race? It's the hardest track on the circuit. Do you think you got what it takes to lock your way into the playoffs tonight?
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. I do feel good about Darlington. I'd probably put it in like my top 5 ovals performance-wise, I would say. So it definitely would be disappointing to me to not advance to the playoffs. If the race run, if we have like long green flag runs, I think that'll even build an even bigger advantage to me over the field. I don't foresee a win, but I think the goal is a top 5.
Yeah, I mean, a top 5 would probably put you in really good position to advance to the next round. I can't think of a point scenario off the top of my head where you finish even 5th, and if you don't make the playoffs based off of that circumstances. So that does seem like a pretty solid goal in order to advance to the first round of the playoffs here. My question for you mentioned that Darlington is one of the tracks that you find a fair bit of success at. What about this track lends itself to the way you race?
I just not necessarily short track racing, but I seem to have a knack for racing where there's a lot of braking, or just like not necessarily even braking, just a lot of off throttle time, because I feel like I drive better with my feet than I do my hands. It's kind of hard to say why I like Darlington. I mean, as a driver, some places you just kind of feel it, some places you don't, and this is a place where I feel it.
One last question for you, Duncan, before we let you go to hop in your car and race. What do you think is going to be the key to victory tonight here at Darlington?
Well, if you don't have a Darlington stripe by the end of the race, you weren't trying. So it's about getting every last ounce of space on that track without going over the limit. I mean, as long as I don't get toe damage, I could care less about hitting the wall. But just having a car that can drive within 10 to go, 15 to go, I think is definitely the biggest thing to focus on.
Well, Duncan, best of luck tonight. You got a really good shot to make the playoffs in your first season, and hopefully we will see you in victory lane as well.
Yeah, much appreciated.
That was Duncan O'Connor of Nova Scotia Community College, and you heard him mention the very famous Darlington stripe.
Yeah.
So Darlington is, without a doubt, the hardest oval track on the calendar this season. Even in NASCAR, it's the hardest oval track to race because it's so unique. It's got a egg-shaped configuration, 1 1/3 miles, where turns 1 and 2 are wider and less steeply banked than turns 3 and 4, which are more narrow and more steeply banked. So the car is very hard to drive. The track is always changing. It chews up tires like crazy, and it's very easy to put the car in the wall and suffer some damage. So I know one thing we'll be keeping an eye out for tonight is seeing how many drivers have got the stripes going down the side of their car from where they've hit the wall.
Yeah, and he also mentioned that it's if there's any place where you can get toe link damage on these next gen cars, it's gonna be here at Darlington. You hit the wheel, you hit the wall too hard a little bit with one of those wheels, you might break that toe link assembly just behind where the wheel sits. And at that point, your night's going to basically be over by the time that thing's repaired. I mean, it's going to be laps lost for sure. And they're so easy to break in these next gen cars compared to previous generations of it. So here at Darlington, the name of the game is keeping it off that outside wall, and it's really a track where you have to race the track even more than you race your opponents around you. If you race the track to the best of your ability, you will find success regardless of what other cars are doing on track. When you start worrying about too much about what other cars are doing, though, that wall is going to jump out and bite you without you realizing.
Yeah, especially off of turn 2, where there's a pretty big bump in the track. That wall comes at you really, really quickly, and it's very easy to hit it if you're not careful. It's going to be a very fine dance that these drivers are doing with the track, and the driver who races the track best and the easiest is going to be the one who finds the most success tonight. But I think another key to success tonight is pit road. This is going to look like, if it runs green flag to checkered flag, this is probably going to be a 2-stop race, just based off of how short the tire stint is at this track. So green flag pit stops, if they come around, are going to be extremely critical getting on pit road and off of pit road. A lot of the IRL NASCAR Cup drivers say that this is one of the hardest pit roads to get on to and off of on the circuit calendar. And I'm sure there's no exception here in iRacing.
No, there's certainly not. From the opportunities I've had to race CIL Darlington, it is one of those tracks where just no matter what you're doing, nothing is going to come easy tonight. You got to really be on your toes and think of everything that's coming your way, whether it's pit lane, whether it's the turns, whether it's just battling cars on the straightaways that have some odd shapes to it. I mean, everything about this track is so unique and makes it so difficult in that sense that you can't take a break for a second. Especially on pit road as well, because it's, to your point, such a tough pit road to get on and off. And with that, you're going to see a lot of cars, I think, either really have an opportunity to flourish or they'll ruin their own race if they don't figure it out here on pit road.
Well, it's going to be an extremely exciting race regardless. There's so much on the line tonight. The regular season championship, a possible spot in the playoffs for really any of our top 20 drivers if they can take a walk-off victory, as well as our second crown jewel race of the season here in the CIL. So some cold, hard cash up for grabs for our top 3 finishers. So this is probably the highest stakes race we've seen all season, and at the hardest track on the calendar. It's going to provide some incredible action, and we can't wait. But before we get there, we're going to take a quick break, come right back. I'm going to probably shed a few layers here since I'm starting to sweat underneath the Nomex. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with race coverage just very shortly. Good evening, everyone. Happy Halloween, and welcome back to the CIL College Cup Series, where tonight there's more on the line than ever before this season. I'm your host for this evening, Zach Lindler, alongside Alex Gagnon in the booth with producers Christian, Keith, and John, and welcome to the Southern 200 from Darlington Raceway, our second cash crown jewel race and the College Cup Series regular season championship. That's right, we're going to hand out some cold hard cash to our top 3 finishers and crown a fall 2023 regular season champion, as well as cut to our top 10 drivers for the playoffs for the rest of the season. And where else to do it but by far the hardest oval track on the calendar this season, Darlington Raceway, the legendary Lady in Black. 150 laps will decide the winner. It's a last chance to secure your way into the playoffs, or if you're already locked in and with a shot to win the regular season championship like Drew Jawa, Matt Morton, and Clint Halterman, this is a chance to snatch the regular season championship. Which drivers will earn their stripes tonight and fall victim to the asphalt jaws of this historic track? And which driver will stand out among the rest and master the track too tough to tame?
Those are really the questions that we have coming into tonight. And as they start to, as this race starts to unfold, a lot of them I think will be answered even before we hit the end of the night. But some of them will only be revealed once the race is over. And, we run into this situation here where, with it being, the eve of Halloween, there's a lot of opportunity for treats out there with folks racing for a bit of cash here this evening in the CIL. But the goal is to not get tricked by this really tricky configuration of a track. You have a really nasty opportunity at every turn to find yourself on the wrong end of this wall, and it'll get you before you have any sort of time to react. So it's definitely going to be tough for a lot of these drivers out here, especially those who have not taken the time to really practice ahead of time and make sure they know how to hit their marks, especially in traffic.
Yeah, Darlington, a very historic, very legendary track here in American stock car racing, paved in 1949. It's a mile and a third long, but its configuration is what makes it so unique. Turns 1 and 2 wider and less steeply banked than turns 3 and 4, and pretty much the entire track you want to run as close to the wall as you possibly can without touching it. The top is the fastest way around this track, but it's also the most dangerous, because at any point, like you said, you can get sucked up into the wall, you can make contact with it off a corner and earn your famous Darlington stripe on the right side of your car and potentially damage your car and have to bring it down pit road, get repairs, or even worse, take it back to the garage where your night is done. This track is so famous for eating up so many incredible NASCAR drivers, as well as drivers here in the CIL. We've seen incredible drama on track, some even better finishes from last season where our Muhammad Aleef and who won last season? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Connor Levy of Arizona State.
Levy.
What a battle those two had.
Yeah, they got into it coming off of turn 4, and both of them were sideways coming across the line. It was an incredible finish. But we're going to have some incredible action tonight as we're going to wrap up our regular season and cut to our top 10 drivers for the playoffs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings coming into tonight's race. You can see Logan Clampett from Cal State Fullerton atop the charts, only driver with three wins so far this season. Matthew Morton for Ohio State currently holds the 2nd seed with 2 wins. Drew Jawa from Chattahoochee Tech after winning the Daytona, he won at I believe it was Vegas. He locked himself in that number 3 machine. Timothy J. Moore, our Daytona 250 champ, has locked himself in, and Matt O'Brien, the winner at Bristol earlier this season. The drivers who have yet to win their way in, but have the opportunity to point their way in: Clint Halterman from UC Charlotte, Tim Robb, one of last year's championship 4, currently 20 points to the good above the cut line for American University. Jake Cummings for the Wingate Bulldogs in that 007 machine, 19 points above the cut line. Duncan O'Connor, who we talked to in our Ignition Zone pre-race show, he sits 16 points above the cut line. And Drew Williams from Clemson University, the last driver currently in as it stands. And on the outside looking in, 2 big contenders tonight in 11th and 12th place. Colin Kolpa, the reigning alumni champion for Indiana University. He's got 14 points to make up on Drew Williams. as well as Muhammad Aleef, last week runner-up at Watkins Glen, 26 points on the outside looking in. And honestly, any of these drivers have the opportunity to win the race tonight and lock themselves in, because sitting there with a plus or a minus next to your name instead of sitting in the wins column definitely gets the nerves going and is a little spooky on this Halloween Eve.
It certainly is. There's, for a lot of drivers there you just listed, Halterman through Williams, there is no rest just yet here with Darlington on the horizon. You know, you have that points advantage. Halterman's probably good on points as long as he doesn't end his night very early. The rest of those guys, though, Rob down the Williams, all of them were going to need to put in a really strong night tonight in order to ensure their opportunity to make sure they can advance to the playoffs. Colin Kolpa, Muhammad Aleef, and the rest of those guys currently like 13th through 20th, they're going to be real hungry to try and pick up that win, because at this point, that's the only thing that's going to save them and put them into this playoff format. And there's going to be, I think, a lot of aggressive moves by some of those drivers in that 13th to 20th range, 11th to 20th range. People who are on the outside right now but have the opportunity to make it in with the win. I think we'll see some interesting pit strategy. I think we'll see some really interesting passing opportunities or lack thereof. I think people are going to be racing really hard this evening for this opportunity to make the playoffs.
Yeah, a couple of other drivers that are on the outside looking in: Dylan Godinez from Penn Tech, Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College, Jason Wallet from Drexel University, as well as Jake Wiest from UNC Charlotte. They're all on the outside looking in, and they can win their way into the playoffs with a dub tonight at Darlington. As there you see the famous egg-shaped track, turns 1 and 2, wider than turns 3 and 4. This is my home track. I live here in South Carolina. Me and my dad go to the race every year. It's always a lot of fun. Always puts on an incredible show in real life in the Cup Series. And the few times that we've been here in the CIL, it has done the exact same, possibly even better. But especially with all the stakes that are on the line tonight, you got the cash, you got the win, you got a playoff spot potentially on the line as well, and the regular season title. This is going to be one heck of a race, and I am extremely excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. I mean, you can even see from the aerial cam here just how interestingly this track is laid out. You know, you've got turns 1 and 2, that big sweeping corner that's really not necessarily flat, but a lot flatter than 3 and 4, which is really narrow and much higher banked than the first 2 turns. So you got to really make sure you know where you are at any given point in time to make sure that you don't get into the wrong corner thinking it's 1 and 2 and you can run it flat, and then 3 and 4 you're in the wrong spot. But yeah, no, it's such a tricky setup here, and you got to be really careful with how you enter and exit these corners, because they're never going to drive quite the same way. And speaking of driving it the same way, I mean, there's so many different ways to get around this track, but I think there's only 1 or 2 real good ways to get around this track, and we'll have an opportunity here probably to see it with an onboard qualifying lap in just a moment.
Yeah, qualifying underway. Actually, I believe qualifying has concluded and the drivers are warming up their race setups for tonight. So we're going to take a quick onboard lap with on a qualifying lap and see just exactly how this track is driven. It's an art in itself. It's very hard, as we're going to ride along with Matt. Is that Matt Morton? Yep, Matt Morton from Ohio State on his qualifying laps, all the way hard on just a driver's flat, barely lift off the gas. Hit the first apex, get all the way up to the wall in the middle of 1 and 2, back down to the bottom on the exit of 2, get that car pointed straight up to 5th gear on the back straightaway, 185 miles an hour going into turns 3 and 4, downshift into 4th. A lot of different lines to get through 3 and 4. Some drivers choose the top, some choose the bottom. Matt Morton went kind of the bottom middle there, and that is a lap at Darlington. Let's ride on board with him and see how this sounds. We do not have an onboard cam in that Ohio State machine tonight, unfortunately, but you can imagine just how wild of a ride it is in that car at this extremely hard, extremely abrasive track as well. It is brutal on the tires. You can expect to see the lap times come down almost instantaneously from the drop of the green flag. So pit strategy is going to be very, very key. tire management as well. It seems like we say that all the time during the season, but that really is the key to success here in the College Cup Series, is managing your tires as well as getting on and off of this extremely hard pit road.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, we'll have plenty of opportunities to go on board as this race progresses. But yeah, it's certainly going to be a wild one out there, and I hope all the drivers are going to be ready for it, because this track is rather unforgiving, and we'll see who's ready to try and tame the beast tonight.
I think I see some cars out on track, which means it's time to go through our starting grid for tonight's Southern 200. Alex, take it away.
You betcha. So, rolling off on pole tonight, it is Matthew Morton of Ohio State University, rolling off alongside Logan Clampett at Cal State Fullerton. These two drivers, 5 wins so far in the opening 8 races. Definitely the 2 cars to beat here this evening. Row 2 is Matt O'Brien of Michigan Tech alongside Muhammad Aleef of Ball State, looking for a win to get in tonight. Row 3 is going to be Tim Moore of Manhattanville College alongside Clint Halterman of UNC Charlotte. Row 4, Drew Williams of Clemson University and Tim Robb of American University. And in row 5, it's Jason Wallet and Austin DeLong, Drexel and the Penn College of Technology, respectively.
Jake Cummings for Wingate University is going to start inside of row 6 next to Kelton Quick from Ball State University. I believe that is his highest qualifying position of the season so far. He's got a teammate, Andrew Stagey, also from Ball State, to the inside of row 7. Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate on the outside. Row 8 goes to Drew Jawa. Duncan O'Connor on the outside of row 8 there for Nova Scotia Community College. Row 9, Colin Culpa, Indiana University, with some work to do tonight, as well as Athena LeClaire from St. Clair College. Both of those drivers looking for their first win in the College Cup Series. Matthew Burton, East Tennessee State University, and Jake Wiest from UNC Charlotte in row 10.
Yeah, and quick rundown on the back half of the grid here. Matthew Nordberg of NC State with Nicholas Budemlik of St. John's University. Row 12 is Dylan Godinez of PCT alongside his teammate Michael Sidor. Row 13 is going to be Nick Stockner from Clemson University alongside Garrett Vighton from Arizona State. Row 14 is going to be Major Monsivice from Texas A&M alongside Tim Wilms from Drexel. And then row 15, it's Zach Tallman from PCT and Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia. But Zach, it looks like we're about to go green.
Yeah, the pace car has pulled off for the first time tonight. It's Ohio State and Cal State Fullerton. The battle for the regular season championship is underway. Green flag here at Darlington.
They'll try and maneuver side by side coming out of turn 1. Clampett looks to have gotten the better run on the outside there of Morton. Cal State Fullerton to the point early. Muhammad Aleef already passed Matthew O'Brien for 3rd as they are side by side from 6th on back as that chain tries to get sorted out into turns 3 and 4. Looks like they'll be able to do so far. You got Drew Williams there just ahead of Clint Halterman, who's on the outside of Jason Wallet, and Tim Robb looks to be all over the back bumper of that Halterman machine right now as they go in the 1.
On top of it being Halloween, a few throwback schemes in the field tonight. You can see Clint Halterman running that throwback to the mid-2010s Dale Jr., that beautiful 88 National Guard AMP car. He did a really good job on that one. We have a caution come out on lap 2. A lot of fighting in the field very early on, so it's little easy to expect that caution to come out relatively early in the race.
Yeah, I mean, obviously on these restarts, everyone gets so bottled up. We'll have to see where the caution came in. Looking at the timing table, it may involve Jacob Wiest, who looked to be well behind the next car ahead of him. But we'll have to see when the replay comes through. But yeah, so far off through the opening couple of laps, I mean, we're seeing drivers already trying high, trying low, trying to find any way around this track to get around people.
I think the outside prevailed on this initial race start, and the drivers are going to notice that a lot. Clampett got in front of Morton, Aleef got in front of O'Brien, Tim Moore got in front of Drew Williams, and that is pretty congruent with what we see in the IRL NASCAR Cup Series, where drivers prefer to be on that outside line, especially when you're up front in the pack. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the incident that brought out our first caution of the night on lap 2. 150 laps in this event, so a long race for these drivers. As we're looking about halfway through the pack, there you see Jake Weiss, just like we thought, as he loops it coming out of turn 2. Big checkup for the 808 of Dylan Martinez and Matt Nordberg. And props to both of them for missing it, as well as Jake Weiss. Great save to keep that car off the wall. That was a phenomenal maneuver for all those drivers involved.
Yeah, Jake Weiss with a really good job there, keeping that thing off the wall. Would have been a really tough thing to try and come back from this early in the race, to get damage to the front of your car coming off of turn 4 only a couple laps in. But since that 600 machine didn't actually make any contact with anything else, you might just have to put a few tires on it, make sure there's no flat spots on the set you've got, and get back out there. Obviously, you'll be restarting at the tail end of the field, but that is a far better fate than restarting at the tail end of the field and also with a lot of damage. So overall, could have been far worse for the 600. Could have been a lot worse for Godinez and Nordberg as well, but they kept it in one piece moving forward. So far, not a major incident, as they would say, but Darlington already striking early with the 600 spinning.
Yeah, that could have been disastrous for both Weiss and Godinez, as both of them are technically still in the running for a playoff spot. And Nordberg, too. With the win, they can lock themselves into the playoffs with a Hail Mary walk-off here at Darlington.
With this restart coming up, obviously we saw Clampett got a much better jump on the outside on the opening start than Morton. Now Morton will be restarting on the outside. I wonder if he repays the favor to Clampett here. Can he get that same level of momentum to run the outside the way the 44 did? I think a lot of it started because Clampett got such a good jump from the opening drop of the green flag and then was able to carry that momentum better through the corner. If Morton can stay to his outside getting in the 1, I think Morton can honestly get back around him. The question is going to be if he can get a good enough jump to hold on to that outside position as they make their way in the 1.
I believe the field's going to get the 1 to go signal this time by, as we're going to re-rack the field and try another race start. We saw Logan Clampett get a really good jump there on the start of the race, able to take the lead relatively with relative ease over Matt Morton, using that inside line in turn 1 to get his way around Morton, slid it up the track in front of him, kept that spot, and drove away for about the lap and a half of racing that we got. But we're going to try again. As you see, once again, the field stacked up 2 by 2. This right here inside the top 10 and just outside the top 10 is going to be the place to keep your eye on for the on-track action and battles, as the field's going to settle out relatively quickly up towards the. You do not want to be too wide going through, or even 3 wide. Wide is just a death sentence in these cars here at this track. So we're going to see it settle out relatively quickly, but that does not mean racing is over. As you see, the 44 of Clampett for Cal State Fullerton, that Titan Esports machine underneath the Buckeye Gaming Collective brand at 13 of Matthew Morton. Barney's got the green flag in hand. The pace car has come down pit road. It's going to be a long trek to the restart zone. The field out of turn 4. Clampett's going to hit the gas. He gets a great restart as we are back to racing at Darlington.
Clampett absolutely launched it coming out of the corner. I wasn't even entirely sure if they had hit the Geico restart zone yet, but if they did, that was an incredible launch there by Clampett. Aleef's going to be able to be the one to capitalize. He'll move up into second. Morton and O'Brien now battling for third. That entire outside line obviously had a real disadvantage coming off the restart there, because that inside line got such a crazy good jump that Clampett's already checked out by several car lengths over Aleef, who's several car lengths ahead of Morton now as they are racing here on lap 8, and it looks like the yellow might be out again.
Caution number 2 out. Some trouble striking early for a lot of our drivers here in the field. But yeah, it almost looked like Morton maybe bogged the restart. He may have spun the tires, or just that car didn't get going and it stacked up that whole outside line. But the inside line was on it, as Aleef picked up 2 positions on that restart by virtue of just having a good restart and following in Clampett's footsteps.
Yeah, and that'll give him the opportunity to restart on the front row here once they get back racing in a couple of laps. We know Aleef's got speed. We also know he's hungry for a win. So how aggressive will he drive Clampett here in the turn one? I think that'll really be the question. Obviously, it's still really early in this race, but I think Aleef would much rather try and win this race from the point than try and track down somebody at the end of the race. Right now, just waiting to hunt down the replay to see what happened. I couldn't really see from the timing table anyone who looked particularly out of place. So looks like the 44 actually is going to bring it down toward, or actually on the outside of pit road. That thing's coming to a crawl. Which means Muhammad Aleef will be inheriting the lead here as Clampett looks to have fallen toward the back of the field.
That may be a restart violation. He may have gotten a penalty for jumping the restart. Not quite sure where he hit the gas in the box, but coming down just off the entrance of pit road, and there he's going to get it started again. He may have gotten an EOL. We're going to check with race control and see exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, it looked like he got a superhuman start, but also it was so early. Matt Morton does not strike me as one to miss the restart by that much. So, yeah, we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But first, here's what's brought out the caution a couple laps ago to bring out our second caution of the evening.
Whoa, Hornet's Nest going into turns 1 and 2, and that is Nick Stockner making contact with Major Monsiváis. Had it almost under control, but the car turns around on him in hard contact with
Jared Kaler who that collected.
Is that Kaler? Yeah. So Jared Kaler starting towards the back of the field tonight, and he got a hard hit. Just nowhere to go as Monsiváis came down the track trying to save that car.
It looked like the 041 had it settled. I mean, there was a bit of contact there with the 124 that moved the 041 up into the wall. But then the Texas A&M car looked to have settled out, thought everything was all fine and dandy until the car snapped back around there at the exit of the corner. Most people were able to avoid except for the one, and you can even see there that black and red car at the bottom of your screen. That thing doesn't look quite right.
We're going to take a look at the restart. Race control has confirmed it was a restart violation, accelerating too early for the 44. So we're going to ride on board with him and see where he hit the gas. Yeah, outside of the restart zone. That's why the outside line didn't get as good of a start.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that almost seems like that was the strategy where you're still in second gear, you're still technically getting up the speed, but just a little too quick on the jump there gave him a massive edge. But that actually now works out really well in favor of Muhammad Aleef, who followed him through. But that obviously is not going to penalize him. And now the 12 car from Ball State will inherit the lead here against Matt Morton. So Morton will still have an opportunity to restart on the outside, but this time against a completely different foe.
Lights are off on the pace car. 1 lap to go until we go racing here again at Darlington. Muhammad Aleef has inherited the lead very early, possibly a gift for him as he needs a win to get into the College Cup Series playoffs. That would really do it for him in that Ball State program. One of our Championship 4 drivers from last season. He's trying to get his way back into the playoffs. Just a quick update from race control. The contact between Stockner and Monsiváis was deemed a racing incident, so no action there. But we're about to get this race ready to go. Our Muhammad Aleef out in front. He's got that less preferred bottom lane, but he's got the jump on the restart over the 13 of Matt Morton. For the third time in a row, we'll start on the outside of row 1. He's got the 043 of Tim Moore Tim Moore behind him. Drew Williams on the high side. And a couple of UNC Charlotte teammates behind them. Barney's got the green flag in hand. The pace car has turned left onto pit road. Let's make it a clean restart this time, guys. And Aleef hits the gas. He's got the lead as they come across the stripe, and we are back to racing at Darlington.
Most critically for Aleef there, he was getting a good enough jump to close off the top side before Morton could fill it in. Aleef will hold on the first as they make their way through 1 and 2. Here comes Matt Morton to the back bumper of the Ball State machine, thinking about the inside. Instead, we'll jump back in line. Now back to the inside, going into 3 and 4. Here goes Matt Morton trying to gun for the lead. Looks like he'll be able to take it away. Matt O'Brien thinking about trying to follow him through. Not quite yet, though, so far. Matt Morton has taken the lead here on lap 14 with Muhammad Aleef, Matt O'Brien, and Drew Williams hot on his tail.
Already aggression coming out. Matt Morton with the slide job, outbreaking Aleef into 3 and 4. Maybe Morton did a better job of keeping heat in his tires under that yellow, but Aleef already relegated back to second. But he's still in good position as he's beating a lot of the drivers that he needs to finish in front of to point his way into the playoffs this season. But still a long race left is now Drew Williams with a really good run out of turn. Clemson University going underneath Matt O'Brien and Michigan Tech as he's going to get that pass completed into turn 1, and it is nose to tail train behind him.
Yeah, I mean, turns 1 and 2, it's so tricky to run side by side and not make contact with each other. I think a lot of the drivers have gotten some of that early race jitter out of the way, and now they're starting to settle in and trying to find where their car will work the best so they can set up these passes. As you see, Michael Sidor really slow on the backstretch. The 15 car looks like it's taken significant damage, although the caution has not waived, but the Penn College Technology machine looks like it might be making its way down pit road here. Racing will continue, but that is a devastating blow for Michael Sidor.
Sidor, another one of those drivers that could have clutched into the playoffs with a win tonight, but unfortunately it looks like his race is going to be close to done, if not over. Significant front-end damage to that car. Possibly the exact same thing that happened to Jake Wiest that brought out the first caution. Just lost it out of turn 2, smacked that wall on the inside of the track. Couldn't keep it straight there, but unfortunate for that Penn College Tech car is look at that train of cars all the way down through the field. A couple of passing attempts down the backstretch further on down the field, but in our top 10, it's going to stay nose to tail. Is actually, hold on, here's Jason Wallet looking underneath Austin DeLong, Penn College of Technology, defending against Drexel University, as Drexel's now going to fall back into the of the 007 of Jake Cummings from Wingate University. That move did not work down the front straightaway into turn 1 and 2 as Wallet got outbraked by the 22 of DeLong going into turn 1.
Yeah, but Wallet hasn't gone away quite yet. He's definitely been exploring a lot of the racetrack so far, trying to see what ways he can get around the 22 here. The 22 is doing a really good job keeping him behind him, but this battle is starting to cause them to fall back a bit from Halterman's back bumper. We're starting to get a bit of a 6-car breakaway pack before we make our way back to the long. It's about a half second between 6th and 7th right now. But you see now, here comes Wallet looking to the inside again. You can see the onboard on the bottom right side of your screen. Wallet to the inside again. Can he make the move stick through 3 and 4? They're side by side through the middle of the corner, side by side coming off the corner. Wallet's going to have a little bit of a less good run coming off the exit. Couldn't fully extend to the wall. They'll have to slide back in behind it along for now. But the 22 looks like he may have gotten into the wall a little bit there, reopening the door for Wallet going down the backstretch.
These drivers fighting for every point they possibly can get on the track with the playoffs looming tonight, the cutoff race. It's now or nothing for a significant number of these drivers. As I'm looking at the standings, as Wallet takes another look to the inside of the 22 into turn 1, he's going to back off, thinks better of it. But I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. How about Andrew Stagey from Ball State University in that 10th position right now? I believe that is the highest he has run all season for Ball State. And Athena
someone's around back there.
Into the wall, few
I think that was Dylan Godinez. Dylan Godinez looked to be one of the cars that was around. I couldn't tell the other one from here, but there was multiple cars facing the wrong way at the exit of the turn 2. Oh, a Drexel hood's flying. That's got to belong to Tim Wilms. Looks like
Ball
Kelton
State
Quick's trying to get
Kelton
going
Quick
as well. Yeah, a lot of carnage out here.
Big crash off of turn 2 is going to bring out caution number 3 on the night on lap 21 of 150, and a lot of cars caught up in that crash. Looks like possibly the same thing that we've seen 3 cautions in a row of cars looping it coming out of turn 2, but this time A lot of drivers collected in that incident.
Yeah, for sure. It just looked like everyone was really starting to settle in and find their rhythm out there. And then right as we were talking about how people are going to start trying to find a way to make passes, a big wreck toward the middle part of the field. That'll really answer a lot of questions there. But it does sound like our replay is good to go here. Let's take a look and see what happened there to bring out the caution on lap 22 that collected multiple cars.
That's quick and Godinez. Little contact actually coming off the corner quick into the back of Godinez. Godinez back up the track and some synchronized spinning action. But I'm wondering, where did some of these other drivers get involved? Whoa, Timothy Williams locks it down. Nowhere to go as the 21 spins right in front of him. Hard hit for that Drexel driver. And I think that is going to end his night. Yeah, you see the car towed back to the pits, the front end completely torn apart on that thing. And his night and his chances at the playoffs are over.
The amount of chassis damage that the 21 must have after that heavy of a collision with Wilms as well. I mean, not only did he already have the wall contact and the contact with Godinez, but to add on the 86 plowing into the back of him at what's got to still be at least 80, 90 miles an hour. I mean, that 21 cannot be handling right now.
Yeah, there's going to be some serious rear end damage to that Ball State car. Very hard hit there. It doesn't look. I hope he'll be able to continue in the race, but that damage might be terminal to the rear end of that thing, especially if there's some broken suspension components. He's got to get that car down pit road and get it fixed. But working on lap 24 of 150 tonight, Matt still in the lead, able to take it away from Muhammad Aleef on the restart going into turn 3. Drew Williams worked his way up to 3rd. Clint Halterman 4th. Matt O'Brien down to 5th. Tim Moore up to 6th. Austin DeLong holding 7th. Jason Wallet has worked his way up to the 8th position. Jake Cummings in 9th, and Andrew Stagey in his best run in his career so far in that 88 machine for Ball State. 2 Ball State cars inside the top 10 right now.
Yeah, right now Andrew Stagey having himself an absolutely great start to this race. He even qualified really well, qualified in the top 12, 14 cars, now currently running in the 10th position with a lot of names that we tend to see up front. So right now the 88 really meaning business so far here tonight at Darlington. Let's see if we can pick up a couple more spots here on this ensuing restart. But also, I think his teammate is going to be the one most critically in need of picking up a spot on this restart. Had the lead, lost the lead back to Matt Morton, but now Aleef will be restarting on the outside, which has seemed to we've seen some success with it so far tonight. And if he can get to that outside going in the 1 and 2, I think he'll definitely take it down the backstretch. If he doesn't, we've seen Morton make that pass through 3 and 4. The opportunity could be there as long as he hangs close to the 13. So certainly some opportunities here for Muhammad Aleef to really get back into the lead. But also, I mean, there's a couple hungry drivers behind him. I know Drew Williams or Clint O'Brien. Wow, I looked at Matt O'Brien and saw Clint Halterman. Clint Halterman or Drew Williams, both currently in on points, but could use the win just as Aleef would. So a couple drivers with wins in the top 6, a couple drivers still looking for that first win of the season, and they're all going to be vying for the lead here in about, 15 seconds.
One last time through 3 and 4 under caution. The pace car makes its way onto pit road, and these drivers are getting ready to go racing for restart number 4 of the night. It's Ball State and Ohio State on the front row, but Matt Morton has control as they're going to approach the Geico restart zone, and Barney throws the green. We're back to racing at Darlington.
It does not seem like Aleef got quite the jump he wanted. Matt O'Brien was all over the back bumper of that 12 machine. It's allowed Drew Williams to go by, and now here goes Tim Moore past Clint Halterman. Now Jason Wallet looking to the outside of the 07 as well. Can the 76 make his way around? Oh, big wreck on the backstretch. Stockner was around. That is Zarin Bartholomew. Tim Robb looks to maybe be involved as well. Michael Sidor. That looked like a whole host of cars.
Saw Matt Nordberg, for NC State. And trouble for Jake Weist and UNC Charlotte as he makes contact but twice with Bartholomew trying to get those cars fired up and back rolling.
Yeah, it looked like
was completely backwards down the front stretch.
Yeah, it didn't look like the 6 had that car quite locked down just yet and tried rolling off when cars were still trying to get by, and led to not one but maybe 2 different points of contact there with the 600, which I'm sure he will not be thrilled about. That was a heavy crash. Well, I can't wait to see what happened on this this replay, because happened a little deeper back in the field, and it was, I mean, it was an absolute, car graveyard out there. I mean, it was as spooky as Halloween can get there on the backstretch.
I did notice Logan Clampett is up to P20 now after getting an EOL a couple cautions ago. So that's about 4 laps of racing, and he's made up 16 positions.
No, I mean, he got that EOL before before that middle-ish stint there. He got it after the second caution, so I mean, he got a good 10 to 15 laps probably of green flag racing in there. So he's probably definitely benefited a few from a couple of the cautions, but he's definitely passed a few cars as well. So let's take a look here and see what brought out Darlington's equivalent of the big one there on lap 27.
Will be coming through turns 3 and 4. Oh. 2 wide. Actually, Nordberg bounces off the wall. The 7 hard hit to the. Gosh, looks too many cars.
Started with Matt Burton and Matt Nordberg, the 33 of ETSU and this 076 of NC State. I mean, that was just a traffic jam coming off of the corner there. And once a couple cars found each other, everybody found each other.
Sky Shrek also involved, that 43 from Oklahoma University. We're going to take an onboard ride with Andrew Burrell from Clemson University. His teammate Nick Stockner involved in that crash, but he got through this one relatively unscathed, I believe. Or was he involved in it? Let's find out. As you can see, the Hornet's nest just in front of him. You're going to smack off the wall. There's the smoke. And oh my goodness, nowhere. Where do you go?
Oh, Clampett was involved as well.
Wow.
Didn't even see that the first time around. Oh, and look at him. Burrow gets right around his teammate and shimmies his way into turn 3. Wow.
I'm going to give that one a golf clap. Well done, Andrew Burrell, to get through that crash. Good hands.
Yeah, really. Good reaction, good patience, and picking the right lines there, whether he has a spotter or just the iRacing spotter. Either way, guided himself through that one with relative ease, but avoided a fate that befell a lot of drivers in that crash, including one of the cars that started on the front row tonight, Logan Clampett.
A lot of those cars might have received terminal damage as well. Some hard hits, especially for thinking of the 7, the 44, 124 had a pretty decent lick as well. It turned him around. So a lot of really good cars out of the race early on, and cars that could have won their way into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, a couple of cars that could have really used a win here tonight as well are now going to be really behind the 8 ball, trying to get themselves into the playoffs here, and that might be a physical impossibility at this point. But starting to look through the timing tower here or there, and one other name that jumps out at me, Colin Kolpa, the first guy on the outside looking in, starting to move his way up a little bit, currently scored in the 13th or 14th position. So that 100 from Indiana on the move toward the front, still has plenty of time to get there, but he's putting himself in position little by little to get ever so closer.
Lucas Moody from Ball State also involved in that crash. So a very up and down, a tale of 2 stories for Ball State tonight. 2 cars in the top 10 at the moment, as well as 2 cars possibly out of the race. But we're going to go green flag racing here as the field works its way one time through turns 3 and 4 behind the pace car. Benny, the pace car driver, we learned a couple weeks ago. It's Benny. We've got Barney, the flag man, and Benny, the pace car driver, as Benny's going to pull that Camry down onto pit road. Matthew Morton, the control car, Drew Williams to hit the gas zone, and we are back to racing here at Darlington.
Morton with a great jump. The past couple restarts, who's ever been on that outside has just really not been able to put the hammer down the moment that inside car goes. Aleef still looking to the inside of Williams. He'll close it off here. Too wide just behind him, though. That's Wallet to the outside of Tim Moore. Andrew Stagey really loose off the corner. Had to collect it and get back in the line there. But the front couple cars have thinned out a little bit, but just behind him, it is an absolute mess, and the caution is out once again.
A mess indeed that just became a little bit messier as another crash comes out on lap 32. Caution out once again. We're going to take a look and see what that out, but a really good restart there for Matt Morton. Drew Williams didn't get the jump that he wanted, fell into the clutches of our Muhammad Aleef temporarily, but he is going to retain that P2 position. Matt O'Brien made some moves on the restart as well as Jason Wallet up to 5th now. He was running 9th laps ago, but he's cracked the top 5 for the first time tonight.
And Jason Wallet, another one of those guys, could be in with a win, but isn't going to make it any other way. So he's putting himself in position right now. But let's take a look at that replay. Let's take a look and see what happened here to bring out the caution so suddenly on lap 31.
See the 15 of Sidor, the 42 of Garrett Vighton, and it looks like the 21 and the 4 of the 3 of Drew Jawa making contact coming out of turn 2, and a few hard hits again for that number 21 car from Ball State. And that's not good for him.
Yeah, so the 21 back on pit road here. It also looks like from that earlier incident, Kaler back on pit road as well in that UNC Charlotte machine. So a couple of cars trying to hammer out some damage here, although in the case of the one, I don't know if that's hammer out or more of just try and duct tape a piece back on and hope it stays there.
Kaler, of course, the reigning series champion, abdicated the throne this season to run a part-time schedule only for UNC Charlotte. So we are going to have new College Cup Series champion after 4 seasons of dominance from that number 1 car of Jared Kaler. So that's something to look forward to as we get towards the latter half of this season. Of course, tonight, the cutoff race in the regular season where we will cut to our top 10 drivers for the playoffs over the next 3 rounds. It's going to be Kansas, Talladega, and Michigan until we cut to our top championship 4 contenders and go to Homestead, Miami for the championship race where they will duke it all out for who is going to dethrone Jared Kaler as the College Cup Series champion and begin a new reign.
Yeah, and to your point about the tracks in that playoff round, one of them that stands out to me most notably is Talladega. Not only for, Talladega is a fun track, but it's particularly interesting because it's such a wild card event where the final 4 may not even necessarily be the 4 fastest cars in the field at any given point in time. So super speedway racing, such a different style of racing from most other tracks on the CIL schedule that, you might, if you can get yourself into the playoffs, there is a very legitimate chance you can make your way into that championship 4 with a little luck at Talladega. So even these drivers who maybe have not found victory lane just yet, they have the chance to maybe make it all the way to the championship 4 if they can just sneak into this round of 10, because Talladega could be that golden ticket to take them all the way to Miami.
If anybody can win at Talladega, there is not a single car that cannot take it to victory lane in that 190-mile-an-hour strategy race. But you got to get into the playoffs to have a shot championship 4. A couple drivers kind of expecting to get into the championship 4. I think I'd expect to see Matt Morton and Logan Clampett there, although Clampett hasn't necessarily had the best runs in the latter half of the season. Momentum not on his side, but a lot of these drivers are very deserving of that championship 4 spot, but sadly we got to cut to only 10 to make the playoffs, and it's going to be interesting for the rest of this race. I believe we are approaching the 1:30 mark in this race tonight. This is going to be a long one for us. These cars are really giving the drivers a run for their money tonight. A little unhappy with the setup. Cars are free as there we go. There's Benny, the pace car driver, finally getting the recognition he deserves. Serving iRacing for all these years, pace car driver.
We had asked everyone back at Daytona a couple months ago to give Benny a name, as he does the magic turn down pit road. Didn't even have to move the wheel. He moved that bad boy with his mind and his mind alone. But he will bring it down pit road, and we'll be back to racing in just a moment here. Barney, the flagman, puts the green back in the air. Morton hits the gas, and we are racing once again at Darlington. The Buckeyes out in front with Clemson and Michigan Tech close behind.
Benny's magic move. I like that. Let's coin that. As the top five, we're going to go single. In the top 10, single file is I think that might have been Jake Cummings from Ball State. He bounced pretty hard off of that turn 2 wall, so he's now officially got his dark stripe for the night. That is something that we talked about towards the top of the show in the pre-race, is you got to keep the car clean, and that turn 2 wall is giving a lot of these drivers a run for their money when it comes to racing the track.
Yeah, and really tight quarters there between Cummings and Stagey. Maybe a little bit of contact. That was the battle for 9th as they run. Dana Leclerc just behind him. Stagey a little slow off the corner. Now everyone trying to shoot their way forward. Here, how is this going to unfold? You've got O'Connor there as well onto the scene. 2 by 2 coming off the corner here. Cummings will lead this second pack back down the front stretch, but they are not going to get this sorted in time going into turn 1, and they will remain side by side as they go.
Leclerc with the nose advantage over Stagey, but Stagey's going to get the run off of turn 2. Gets that car pointed. Leclerc really loose coming out of turn 2. Great save by the driver of that. But she's going to pay the price in a lot of positions. But she's got a car that can continue to keep running. Great save by Athena Leclerc. Stagey is now going to stay in the top 10 for the time being, but he's now under pressure from Thomas Toomey and UVA as he's going to drag with him. As Toomey, Duncan O'Connor as well. Colin Culpa involved in that mix as well, and that second pack breaking off is led by Athena Leclerc. As she goes into the wall again, that car is a handful right now.
Yeah, every time that car has made a bit of contact with the wall, it just keeps driving a little bit worse. And, those will start to add up over the course of the race, especially over the course of a run, as there goes the 041 hard into the wall. Oh, boy, the front end of that machine absolutely gone.
And we stay green.
We stay green, but that's going to probably kill the night there for Major Montevice, as there's more cars in the wall. Nicholas Bedemlik, one of them.
It was Bedemlik up against the wall with another driver. I think it's that there's another car right behind them that's missing a front bumper too.
That is Major Montevice. That is the 041. We see the St. John's car there. Nicholas Bedemlik got into the wall. It may have been Matthew Burton, although that might be contact or might be damage from an earlier caution as well. We'll have to take a look at the replay to know for sure. The caution wasn't initially going to fly with that situation between Leclerc and Montevice. But then, the 67 ends up pointed into the wall off the nose of another car. Couldn't tell you exactly who, but there was someone around, and that is going to bring out what I believe is our 6th caution of the evening.
Nicholas Bedemlik for St. John's University running that. I think that's a Aaron's Dream Machine throwback to Michael Waltrip. That car looks really good.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous scheme there. But let's take a look at the replay here and see what happened to bring out the caution.
So here we see Bedemlik in that 67 machine, and Matt Burton, just 2 drivers making contact in the corner. I guess Bedemlik thought he was clear, so was Burton. Bedemlik left the room, Burton took the gap, but Bedemlik may have thrown a block a little too late, and that puts both of those drivers into the Burton.
I don't even think it was necessarily a block. I think he got checked up trying to get around that Ball State machine, and then when he checked up, that car slid up the track a little bit, and obviously Matt Burton's not going to anticipate that car sliding up in that position, and I think the two make contact there just based off of a disagreement on where you're going to brake and then reaccelerate through turns 1 and 2 there between one of the Ball State cars, and then it was Bedemlik. Couldn't quite tell which Ball State machine it was. But let's take a look here at what also happened to Major Montevice that happened just moments before the caution came out. This was coming off of turn 4 alongside Athena Leclerc.
There you see the Texas A&M International machine underneath Athena Leclerc, and that looked like just looped around.
I can't tell if it was a loop around situation or maybe netcode. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily look like the 041 and the 61 made contact with each other, but the 041 lost control in a hurry and just ran out of time to try and get it pointed around before the nose of that car made contact with the inside wall. And the inside wall won that battle. There is no doubt about it. The wall ripped the entire front end off of that Texas A&M International machine. And a day that has not started great for Major Monsivice just continues to get worse.
And one thing that I am noting is there's some virtual rain clouds building up in the distance. This race might be time shortened. 100 minutes maximum for these CIL series, for these College Cup Series races. And it looks like there's a possibility that we're going to go to time instead. So the drivers are going to keep in the back of their minds that they're going to be racing the clock instead of racing the lap counter, as we still have yet to approach the one-third of the way mark for this race.
Yeah, and with these crown jewel events, that's definitely a thing that can occur. You want to make them big, you want to make them grand to make drivers work for every dollar they may win here this evening. But the price to pay, obviously, is with these bigger events. And the current rule code of the CIL being that 100 minutes is the maximum allowable time for CIL sessions or race sessions. It does result in potential situations where races could end on time as opposed to lap count. But until it gets to a point where those virtual rain clouds that you mentioned, Zach, are directly overhead, we'll just keep running down these laps as previously scheduled until Mother Nature proves otherwise.
Another thing these drivers have got to keep in the back of their minds is the state of their tires. Yes, we've run a lot of caution laps, but there's been a lot of restarts on these tires, and those are extremely intense on these Goodyear rubbers. So we might be looking at some pit stops relatively soon if we get a few more cautions or a long green flag stint here, as we're going to re-rack the field right up behind Benny, the pace car driver. Once again, he make his magic move down to pit road. There he goes. And we're side by side. It's Morton out to the point, just ahead of Drew Williams to his outside. They're approaching the Geico restart zone once again, coming off of caution number 6 on the night. Morton in Ohio State going to hit the gas late in the zone, and we are back to racing at Darlington.
Yeah, he really extended that one to the last possible moment, and I think that held up Drew Williams with how long he had to wait. It allowed Matt O'Brien to sneak his way on through into the second position. Williams will fall back to third. And as you can see there, Muhammad Aleef currently in the 4th position trying to hold off Jason Wallet.
Clean restart for our top 5 drivers. As a problem for the 074 back straightaway. Might have lost control of that car coming out of turn 2, but he's got that thing straightened up once again. But he's going to lose a ton of positions, as that's now going to bring Thomas Toomey and Jake Cummings into the top 10. And it's a hornet's nest back here for about P20 on back. Some contact in the corner and a hard hit off the wall. Cars bouncing off the wall. That is the 28.
Kelton Quick.
Kelton Quick for
State
Ball
Machine
still
going
slippery on him.
Bumper to bumper, rail to rail there with Duncan O'Connor coming off of turn 2. And you can see the replay of what happened to Tim Moore. Nearly lost it, able to catch it, but lost a lot of momentum off the corner. But yeah, no, O'Connor and Quick absolutely bludgeoned each other coming off of turn 2. O'Connor was able to get the better end of it. He's still running up in the 12th position. Quick has fallen back into the clutches of Stockner there in the battle for 16th. And now the 28 must have sizable damage, because it looks like Quick's going to bring this thing down pit road after some heavy contact with both the wall and the 34.
And he hit the wall at least a couple of times, and he had one smack at a pretty steep angle as well, so possibly some toe link suspension damage on that right front for Kelton Quick. But the battle for the lead is on, as Matt Ryan going balls to the wall now. He's gotten around the 23 of Williams and is now challenging for pack of 3, that Michigan Tech Huskies machine, working all over the back of that Ohio State machine, as Clemson University and Drew Williams sitting towards the back, hoping these two can do something that would keep him in the mix, as another battle shaping up right behind them for the 4th position. Muhammad Aleef versus Jason Wallet back into the top 5 for Drexel University. He's looking for the win that would catapult him into the playoffs and the walk-off race. There's some contact with the wall there, possibly, for Morton or O'Brien. I saw some smoke going into 3 and 4. So these drivers are leaving it all out on the track as the caution comes out once again, and it is
Leclerc. And slides up the
she
track.
comes back onto the track, and I believe for the third time tonight, Weist is collected in a crash that he did not start.
Yeah, the 600's just having one of those nights here in Darlington, South Carolina. One of those ones where you're hitting everything, not by your own volition, but everything just seems to be out to get you. But yeah, no, that's we saw the 61 have that near miss getting loose off the corner right before the previous caution. So maybe that car wasn't handling quite right on the ensuing restart. Now it's significantly beat up compared to how it had been driving previously. So obviously the replay will tell us exactly what happened, but the 61 there for St. Clair definitely has seen better days.
Major front end damage for Athena Leclerc, as I think she was having some trouble keeping that car underneath her through turns 1 and 2. There's some suspension damage possibly as well. As there we see the field coming down pit road, going to be some repairs, tires, and fuel for everybody, as this might be the money stop.
Well, certainly going to be able to put you into a prime position early here. And as this race continues to look, as this, the virtual rain continues to get closer and closer, it's definitely something to keep an eye on with this pit strategy. How aggressive do you go? Do you think it'll end through laps? Do you think it'll end on time? That really does become the question. One of the questions that I'd like to keep an eye on here is that Drew Williams was the first car of this lead pack to come down pit road. Morton, O'Brien, Aleef, and Wallet all stayed out. Drew Williams, though, did not. So a bit of a different strategy there for the driver of the 23, who came so close back in the spring to winning this race before he ended up getting some contact with Connor Levy with less than 10 to go that took him out of contention. But, an alternate strategy here might be exactly what the doctor ordered to get him back up front here at Darlington.
And look who's back in the top 10. Logan Clampett for Cal State Fullerton. He's running 8th right now. I think I saw Matt Burton for East Tennessee State as well, running in that 10th position. So some pit strategy in play here at Darlington. Drivers coming down and getting some new tires. We're going to see those are going to have a very clear advantage over these drivers on older tires. But it all depends on how far in the back those drivers on new tires are starting. As you see the 61 on pit road, getting some repairs done to that car. And it's gonna take a while to fix that front end. Look at how skewed it is.
Yeah, especially with the pit crew just kind of having a conversation there. They might just be trying to plot how they're going to fix it more than actually fixing it. Obviously, iRacing doesn't generate the actual crew members getting out there and doing repairs, but there's something so striking about the visual of a beat-up car on pit road with a couple of guys just sitting there talking about it. But I digress.
Definitely. Your favorite Halloween candies?
I hope so. Speaking of which, what's yours? Me personally, I'm a huge Twix guy. I have been since I was a kid. And I know there's a lot of people who would say, they're not all that special, but sentimentally to me, good stuff.
I'm going to actually take a rain check on that. I'm going to think about that for a little bit because we got a replay to take a look at. I'm going to think about that while we look at that replay of the crash real quick. Ooh, side by side down some contact between. Was that
Culpa?
Was that Culpa? Yeah, Culpa and Leclerc gone wrong. Leclerc coming back up the track, collecting her teammate Zarin Bartholomew as well as Jake Weist. Man, heartbreaker for those drivers.
They were really going at it in the turn 1. I wonder if there was something that had caused it before that. I mean, I don't know exactly what brought the 61 to try and get lower there when the 100 was kind of at the back corner, but then it looked like the 100 also really kind of didn't angle off the corner the right way, and those two cars made contact. So don't envy the stewards trying to look through that one, because both of those cars looked to be really trying to drive the other one pretty tough there going into turn 1, and that's probably the only place on this track where doing that will 100% of the time spell disaster.
All right, I've got my answer. I'm going to keep it simple and say Skittles. I really like
You know
Skittles
what?
for some reason.
Hey, you know what? Hey, there's nothing wrong with some Skittles, man. That's those are some good things right there. Those are always the go-to of like, you're going through your Halloween candy and you're like, damn, I want some candy, but I don't want anything chocolate because I'm like so burnt out of it over the past couple days.
For the Skittles.
The Skittles are the
Go for the
first
Skittles.
thing, man. Those are like some Starbursts. Those are the first two.
Oh, now we're talking. Okay, but can we agree that candy corn is garbage?
We cannot. I love candy corn, and me and you will have to have some words at the end of this broadcast.
This just in, Alex Gagnon has been fired from the booth in the race for incorrect opinions.
Alrighty, but while we will settle our candy corn differences after the race, currently on track, we'll have Matt O'Brien and Matt Morton trying to settle which driver is the one who can keep the name of Matt at the end of this race. Obviously, that's what's on the line here. The winner gets to keep the name. The other must go by their last name of Morton or O'Brien. So
Morton and O'Brien on the front row. Ohio State keeping control of this race from the get-go. East Tennessee State to the outside. Drexel and Jason Wallet to the outside of Muhammad Aleef and Ball State on row 2. Barney's got the green flag in the air as the drivers approach the Geico restart zone. Once again, Morton hits the gas and we are back to racing here at Darlington.
Morton will lead them into turn 1. It's almost 3 wide behind him. Andrew Stagey just able to avoid the outside-inside attack of Clint Halterman and Logan Clampett. Now Clampett diving to the inside of Stagey. This is a battle inside the top 10. This is the battle for 5th, actually. Looking to get around on the inside. There is Clampett. Halterman thinking about trying to follow him through. Not able to do so just yet, as you see a little bit farther behind him, Nick Stockner taking a position away from Garrett Biden. There are so many positions up for grabs on these restarts, especially with some cars who have come down pit road and some that haven't. It really puts a lot of interesting scenarios out on track on who's going to be able to manage the tires. Of Stockner down into the inside wall. The 124 hard into the inside wall on the backstretch. We say green for now, but that was a heavy contact for the Clemson driver.
Massive contact as that car tank slapped off the inside wall. You can see the left side of that car completely pancaked. Stockner already having a bad day, getting involved in a couple of incidents, and that one looks like the car just looped coming out of turn 2, which has really been the struggle for our drivers tonight. Or maybe he had some help. We'll have to go back and see, but that Clemson 124 machine is going to come down pit road and get some repairs, as he's going to go at least a few laps down here.
Yeah, he just got lapped for the first time there as Morton wheels it down the front stretch going into turn 1. He's got about a 3-car length advantage right now over Matt O'Brien, who's got a mirror full of Jason Wallet right now. The Drexel driver up into 3rd, maybe soon to be into 2nd here as he tries to make a pass on O'Brien. Meanwhile, on the bottom right side of your screen, this is the replay of what happened to Stockner as he got around Garrett Biden and then just didn't have quite enough room off the corner. And heavy contact there for the 124.
Yeah, it looks like he the Viton might have scared him coming off the corner. He didn't expect that Arizona State machine to get as good of a run, because that car completely stepped out sideways on Stockner, and to the inside wall he went, and now he's down on pit road getting repair. 2 laps down at the risk of going a 3rd lap down. His chance at a playoffs run slipping away from his grasp very, very, very quickly tonight, as Matt Morton has worked his way out to the largest lead of the night by any driver, almost half a second over Matt O'Brien. But Jason Wallet has turned on the afterburners. He's got a match lit under his seat right now, as he's going to go to work all over the back of that 043 of Matt O'Brien. Going to be relatively even coming down the backstretch. O'Brien with a relatively better run. But it looks like Wallet going to bide his time, at least for this lap, before he mounts another attack, as they've still got another about 3/10 back to Muhammad Aleef, who's under fire from Logan Clampett, who has worked his way back into the top 5.
Yeah, this could be a huge race for Jason Wallet. Winner at Daytona back in the spring, hasn't found victory lane since. Still trying to find his way into the playoffs. Will not be able to point his way in, but a win could get him in. currently in the third position. He's in pretty good striking distance to do just that here as we are soon to hit lap 62 of this 150-lap race. But while he's been so focused on trying to get up to Matt O'Brien, here comes Logan Clampett now. He was back around Muhammad Aleef. Now Clampett is about to get onto the back bumper of Wallet, and it's about to be a 3-car chain from second through fourth.
Logan Clampett got the EOL penalty early on in this race for a restart infringement handed down from race control, and he has driven his way quite literally through the entire field to get his way back up into the top 5, as he's now just a 10th on the back bumper of Jason Wallet, gets a run off of turn 4. Doesn't look like he's going to try anything this time by, as second through fifth are all nose to tail at the moment, with Muhammad Aleef threatening to join the mix as well.
Yeah, this all those cars battling as Aleef get up there, but just behind them, Drew Williams on those fresh tires has worked his way into 9th, and he finds himself a 1.5 seconds back of Andrew Stagey here. He's the leader of this second pack of cars. So he's already gained 5 positions from where he restarted, but there's definitely still a lot of work to do to get up to the leaders. But, you know, with alternate strategies, you don't always see the dividends immediately. Sometimes you got to let this run progress. And as they continue to lock some green flag laps here, we'll see those tires probably come to life more and more relative to those cars in front of him. You can already see he is driven away from that second pack of cars here. He's kind of in no man's land now as he tracks down the 88 of Andrew Stagey.
And now Logan Clampett has gotten his way by both Jason Wallet and Matt O'Brien into the second spot in 2 laps. Clampett with a rocket of a race car right now, going to try and chase down the lead, as well as Drew Jaywad getting around the 76 of Wallet, and he's now got his sights set on Logan Clampett Matt O'Brien ahead of him. Clampett trying to take a run for the lead. Got 7 tenths to go, and the caution comes out.
Yeah, I don't think it was for the 33, although Matt Burton smacked the wall pretty hard there coming off of 2. We saw that on one of the screens, but I don't think that's what they threw the yellow for, but not entirely sure what brought it out. It may have been the 6 of Zarin Bartholomew, but that car also has seen a fair bit of action tonight in the wrong way and nearly made contact there with Clampett as he's trying to rejoin the track. So the replay is good to go here. Let's take a look and see what happened to bring out the caution on lap 64.
Bartholomew is going to bring that car down pit road. So we're looking at turn 4. This is the 43 of Sky Shrek from Oklahoma University. And it looks like the car just goes right. Ooh. Actually, Shrek actually saved it. And then it came back around and just barely missed a couple of Penn College of Tech cars. And
I
Shrek's
think
able to get that car rolling again.
It may have clipped one of them as the leaders now coming down pit road. Morton and Clampett, they started 1-2. They'll be in the first and second pit stalls, respectively. Who's going to get the better stop here? Will either one of them be able to get the advantage off of pit road? Matt O'Brien and Muhammad Aleef directly behind him as well. It looks like the right size went up on that 44 a little bit quicker than the 13. He may have an opportunity to win this race off of pit road.
Clampett's going to get out of his box earlier. Yes, he will, but Morton is going to be there. It's a dead off of pit road. Who got it as the two were driving through each other, literally, to get off of pit road? I think it might have went the way of Clampett.
It was tough to tell from that angle. They looked they almost became one car from that angle coming off of pit road. I mean, and for all intents and purposes, merged through each other. Although currently on track, Morton holds pace in front of Clampett. So maybe the 13 was able to get just a little bit extra bit of a nose off there. Man, I don't know if it's possible or to our production team, but if we could get a replay from the front of those cars coming off of pit road, I would be forever thankful because I want to see how close that was. It could not have been by very much.
One of the best races off pit road we've seen all season, and it was for the lead when everything cycles back around. It's Williams, Toomey, Moore, O'Connor, and Burl all on that alternate tire strategy where they came in on the last caution. Had about 15 laps of green flag racing between these two sets, but that's going to be a lot of pace difference for these leaders as they're going to try to defend against the newer tires behind them. But we're going to take a look at that race off of pit road. Now, They're going to be racing to the first white line that covers the entire width of pit road. Clampett dropped the car earlier, and right there at the cones, it was Morton by a splitter.
It really was the splitter. I mean, it wasn't much of anything else. I mean, Clampett did everything he could. He got into the box a little bit faster. That car went up on the jacks a little bit faster than the 13. But that first pit stall is so powerful because the moment that jack drops on the left side, you can just floor it off the exit of pit road and you're gone, you know. And Matt Morton able to do just enough to hold on to his position there coming off of pit road thanks to having that number one pit stall. But boy, was it close.
And both of those drivers have their virtual pit crews to thank for those phenomenal stops. That was a great race off of pit road. But they're going to be starting, I believe, Morton on the outside of row 3, Clampett on the inside of row 4. Yes, as all the drivers up in front of them are on that alternate tire strategy of about 15 lap older tires. Lights on the pace car are off. It's Drew Williams to the inside of Thomas Toomey right behind them. That's the 34 of Duncan O'Connor to the outside of, I couldn't see who that was on the inside. Yes, the 074 of Tim Moore. Yeah. And then row 3, Andrew Burrell to the inside of our de facto leader, number 13 of Matthew Morton. And then behind him, it's race on, as it was before pit road. Logan Clampett to the inside of the 043. 76 on top of the 12 will lock out the top 10 as the pace car makes its hard left onto pit road. Barney's got the green flag in hand. Drew Williams for the first time tonight, the control car as they approach the restart zone. He hits the gas. Barney throws the green, and we are back to racing at Darlington.
He'll get up to that outside, getting into turn 1. Tim Moore trying to follow him through on the inside. He's got half a car ahead of Toomey, who then roars past on the outside. Thomas Toomey back into second, and he's going to try and chase down the leaders here. Morton looking to the inside of Duncan O'Connor. That's the battle for 4th. And then a little bit farther back, it's too wide between O'Brien and Burrell, with Wallet and Aleef into the mix as well.
And look at that pace differential as Morton has already made his way past O'Brien and Burrell up into the 4th position as Jason Wallet now looks underneath the 888 of Burrell to take away the 8th position. Muhammad Aleef looking to do the same, and Burrell is going to probably fall through the field very quickly here on those older tires. As we got
Halterman's around.
Halterman around, and in the inside wall, it's one of our contenders for the regular season championship in the wall and around, but we stay green, and he is probably going to be furious about that one.
Yeah, that's certainly a tough break there for the UNC Charlotte machine. He was one of those cars who not only was fighting for a regular season championship here, but because he still doesn't have that win yet, still not technically locked into the playoffs as they run. There's almost a little bit of contact there maybe between Tim Robb and Austin DeLong. Drew Joao tried to capitalize here getting into the corner on the inside of the 5. That Chattahoochee Tech car now looking to the inside of Austin DeLong off the corner. Can he get them both on that set of corners? Think he's going to be able to. Good drive there off the corner from Drew Jawaz. Now he dives back into turn 1 with the advantage over both of those cars, looking down the back bumper of Andrew Stagey. But, man, there has been action all over this field. But going back to Halterman for a second, I mean, he'll probably make the playoffs on points, assuming that, you know, things work out his way, which they likely will with that 39-point advantage. But it's not necessarily a done deal yet. As Colin Kolpa, where did he go? And he's in contact now with Rob. The Indiana Machine and American University into the wall.
The two Apollo Esports Technical Alliance drivers making contact with each other as both of them go to the inside wall, and because they were off the racing line, we're going to stay green.
That is the one thing with Darlington that is so tricky, is that while this track is so wide, the racing line technically is so narrow that a lot of these cars that fall down to the inside of the track, they won't throw the caution because they're not in the racing line. That's just the way iRacing has it set up. As you see, it looked like Rob was trying to come off the corner and made contact with Stagey and then ended up collecting Culpa as well. So they're trying to get back out of here, but multiple heartbreaking moments for drivers who are not locked into the playoffs yet. First Halterman, then Tim Robb, and then Colin Culpa. 2 drivers in, and then one who was trying to fight for it, but now clamp it to the inside. He'll take the lead away from Williams, and Morton on their tail as well. Logan Clampett back to the point here, just past the midway point.
Williams is about to fall through the field like crazy. The one blessing that he had, the leader's privilege of clean air, taken away from him with that relatively easy pass by Logan Clampett, who reclaims the lead on lap 76, as Williams is now going to fall into the clutches of Matt Morton. Williams, the cutoff car coming into this race, it does look like at the moment he is good to point his way into the playoffs, but a win would take all the questions out of it. Williams also does not need a new winner this season because he is hanging on by a thread to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, so right now, he seems to be in good shape there. The first new winner who wouldn't be Drew Williams in the running order would be Thomas Toomey back in 6th.
Wow.
So he's got some relief to work with there. But as far as point situations are concerned, you look back just behind Thomas Toomey, you've got Aleef who's trying to win his way in. You've got Cummings who could jump him in a situation where he's could make his way in. Duncan O'Connor still looking for that win. Jason Wallet could jump all of them with a win. I mean, there's still a lot of cars in this top 10 who are very hungry for that win. So just because he's in a good spot now doesn't mean he can take his foot off the throttle at all and try and just coast behind Clampett and Morton here. He's got to stay on top of things, and looks like actually a little bit of contact there into the wall maybe from the 44.
Drew Williams coming into this race, 14 points to the good over Colin Culpa as the last driver in the playoffs. Duncan O'Connor with 16 points over Culpa, 2 points over Williams. Jake Cummings needs to beat Williams. Williams needs to beat Cummings by 5 positions, which is exactly where he is right now to be able to stay in the playoffs. Tim Robb and Clint Halterman, the other drivers, fighting for those last playoff positions. I believe at this point, with the retirements that we've had, Clint Halterman is officially in the College Cup Series playoffs. So we have 6 drivers that are locked in positions still to battle, and all 4 of those drivers were within 6 points of each other coming into this race.
Wow. While you were talking about that, though, a really scary moment for Matt Morton. He went to pass Drew Williams coming off of 4. Don't know if he got loose, net code, bit of contact, what happened, but the 13 nearly fishtailed out of the corner. He was able to catch it, but lost a ton of momentum in the process. Now sitting 3/10 behind Williams, trying to track him back down, but they are very quickly losing the back bumper of Logan Clampett.
Clampett driving away with this race at the moment, 1.5 seconds almost for Clampett the lead. That is the biggest lead out of any driver we've seen in the race tonight, but Williams and Morton are getting close to battling it out. Morton's on 15-lap newer tires, and here he's going to into the inside of Williams. He's got the run out of turn 2. Here's the attack down the backstretch into turn 3. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Morton is going to take away P2 from Williams, and he is going to try to set his sights on reclaiming the lead from Logan Clampett. And you see the gap behind a gaggle of cars. I believe that was Thomas Toomey, Drew Jawa, Jason Wallet, and Jake Cummings all fighting for the 7th position on track. But in this playoff cutoff race, every single position matters. So you bet Williams is going to try and get that 2nd position back as best as he can.
Yeah, at this point, he's probably just going to hold on to what he can hold on to, knowing that he's on slightly older tires than a lot of the cars in the top 10 right now. It's a matter of survival until the pit strategy would fall back into his favor. But here on lap 84 right now, it's just damage control for the Clemson machine, currently running 3rd. It has about a 1-second gap back to Matt O'Brien, but a little bit farther behind them, this absolute cluster of cars, Drew Jawa, Thomas Toomey, Jason Wallet to the inside of the Virginia driver as they make their way off the corner, and then just behind them was Jake Cummings. Wallet a little loose out of the corner. Cummings and O'Connor will capitalize here as they jump a couple of positions there. O'Connor now running 10th, Wallet 11th. You see Cummings now trying to make a move on the inside of Thomas Toomey in the battle for 8th.
A disaster of a corner there for Jason Wallet, but a good recovery as he's going to keep on keeping on in this battle. He's right off the bumper of the 34, Duncan O'Connor. Now Jake Cummings and Thomas Toomey get into it. As the inside wall, he got loose off the corner, corrected into Cummings, and Cummings sends him to the inside wall off the front bumper. Heavy damage for Thomas Toomey coming out of turn 2. That left side is completely flattened as he's going to bring that car down pit road. And I think Drew Williams is going to sigh a sigh of relief as that's a possible new winner out of the mix. But disaster for Thomas Toomey and UVA. And you can see just how quickly things can unravel for you here at Darlington. This track is relentless.
It's relentless, and so are the cars on track. I mean, everyone knows the stakes here, not only the payout at the end of the race for points, but also the little bit of the financial payout with a crown jewel race here in the CIL. So everyone's fighting with everything they've got here, and we're starting to really find out what these tires are capable of as this race continues on. There's a bit of contact there, I think, from Tim Moore, or actually that was Drew Jawah actually on the outside wall. That Chattahoochee technical car brushed the outside coming off of turn 2. But yeah, this track is just so challenging, and you can see it every time we look at a new battle, just how close that line is between making the pass or finding your car in the wall. I mean, it's such a fine line here at Darlington, probably finer than any other track there is on the CIL calendar.
I think I remember Duncan O'Connor in the Ignition Zone pre-race show saying that if you bring the car back to pit road after the race and it's completely clean, then you weren't driving hard enough. I don't think there is a single car out there on track that doesn't have some form of damage.
Whoa!
And Weist are going to go at it. Weist with the slide job attempt in 3 and 4 to get around that Ball State car, washed up the track, and the 2 made contact. The 88 going into the wall and the 600 making contact there. And Weist is going to walk away with that position as things unraveling right now for Andrew Stagey, who was in the top 10 for a considerable portion of the first third of this race, as he's now dropped out of the top 10, now looking at dropping out of the top 15, looking a little further ahead. This is the battle for, I believe,
this actually
12th?
might be, yeah, it's definitely Matt Burton and Austin DeLong. They're running somewhere inside the top 15 right now. The question is just where. But as they battle, Matt Burton and Austin DeLong both have already had a bit of an adventurous evening, Matt Burton especially. But still, that ETSU car holding on to 12th right now and trying to hold back Austin DeLong despite the couple of accidents the 33 has found itself in.
Austin DeLong having a really good top 15 day as he's trying to take away that 12th position from Matt Burton at East Tennessee State University. And yeah, you mentioned the up and down day for that ETSU car in the wall early in the race, involved in a pretty big crash. But he kept that car out there, and they are going at it right now. And these two are going at it as well. This is Jake Cummings and Jason Wallet going at it for the 8th position on track. Cummings looking to the inside of Wallet, going to get really tight here out of turn 4 as they come down the front stretch to start lap 92 of 150. We're approaching the 2/3 mark of this race, but that rain cloud keeps on approaching. I think we're going to run out of time here pretty soon just because of all the cautions at the start of the race. So these drivers have got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and that just messes with the strategy that much more, You try and make your plan for the 150 laps that you have scheduled. All of a sudden, you're like, all right, if it's going to be less, where does that put us on fuel? Do we need to come down pit road again? If we do, how do we prepare ourselves to still be in the hunt at the end of the race here? As you see Wallet and Cummings get around the 28 of Kelton Quick. But all of a sudden, I think the gears are turning more in the minds of these drivers, thinking just how are they going to get it done? As Aleef trying to get the pass down on the inside here of Matt O'Brien. This is the battle for 4th as they both close the gap to Drew Williams. 3rd, 4th, and 5th here all under a blanket as they make their way down the front stretch.
As the rain clouds are getting closer, it's raining here in Columbia, South Carolina, and the storms blow from west to east here on the East Coast. So Darlington's about to get rained on very quickly here. Time is running out for these drivers. About 45 minutes is what the estimates are saying left before that caution flag is going to come out to end the race. As now here's our Muhammad Aleef looking to go around Drew Williams. This is a worst case scenario for Drew Williams. Our Muhammad one of those cars on the outside looking in. If he wins the race tonight, Williams is out of the playoffs, potentially, as he's going to make that pass look very, very easy. Muhammad, the runner-up last week, losing that race on pit road, he's looking for some retribution tonight and some in his first win of the season. Excuse me, as
Who was that?
Car. That's the 49 of
It's a Tristan Leclerc.
Tristan Leclerc, not Athena Leclerc for St. Clair College, but a St. Clair car going way down the track. I think, yeah, it looks like he was able to keep it out of the wall, but Tristan able to keep going in this race. Great save, and right in front of the leaders nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tense moment, I'm sure, for both Clampett and Morton to see a car getting loose right in front of you like that. But, you know, everyone keeps going. Everyone's fine for the moment. As we look a little farther back, it's the battle for 11th here. Austin DeLong in that 22, Garrett Vighton in the 42. Arizona State, the defending winner of this race back in the spring. So definitely looking to try and repeat in the fall if he can help it. But for right now, it is the battle for 11th. So they both have some work to do if they're going to find their way toward the front.
And Jared Kaler is out of the car. He's parked on pit road. We're going to have a quick chat with him, checked and released from the Infield Care Center. Jared Kaler, this has been a race of attrition. A lot of these drivers really struggling with the car tonight and racing the track. What's it been like out there tonight?
I mean, honestly, I don't really know. I was involved in the first yellow and had about 8 minutes of optional damages I had to get done, and I was just kind of limping around waiting for the yellows to come out and coming down pit road and seeing how much I could get done under each yellow and just trying to stay on the lead lap that way. So I was down about a second and a half every lap, and my left front tire was at, I don't know, like 60%, and then eventually the engine just let go on that thing. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. I didn't qualify because I'm not here for the points or anything. I couldn't do the full season, so I was just here to kind of have some fun. And, yeah, I felt like I had a lot of pace and just didn't get to show it tonight.
Yeah, certainly a tough break there, Jared. Obviously not the Darlington you were hoping for, but obviously with 4 more races on the schedule, a couple more opportunities maybe to rebound, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love Darlington, and it seems like anytime we come here, I never get a full race in. But yeah, there's a couple more races I'd like to do, and I think I have an opportunity to be able to do them with my schedule and all. But yeah, I look forward to maybe doing some more and getting back out there.
Yeah, Jared, we're looking forward to hopefully having you back full-time here soon. Abdicating the throne, per se, 4 championships in a row. We will have a new Cup Series champion this season, but will you come back next season to potentially reclaim the title?
I mean, honestly, it just depends how my school schedule plays out. Hasn't been too friendly this semester. I'll say that much in terms of exams and homeworks. But yeah, I mean, hopefully if my schedule plays out nicely, then I'll be back next season.
Very understandable indeed. Well, we're glad to have you on board for part-time this season. We're glad that you're still racing with us, and we will see you back here in the booth soon.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
That was Jared Kaler, reigning series champion, and out of this race, as well as out of the contention for the championship this season. You heard him say the school was really getting to him this semester, and that seems to be the bane of all of our students is school. One thing
How
that all
dare the students have to do academic things?
Every driver you see out there with a 1 or 2 digit number and the blue banners on their car is a full-time college student. So they are balancing not only their academic workload, but also this College Cup Series and possibly Formula C as well. So they're taking time out of their busy schedules to come race with us. Take some time off from the stress of classes, but sometimes the classes can just get too much. And you got to run a part-time schedule. I've been there. I've done that before. I had to do that a couple times in my very short CIL career. But But we are thankful for every student that comes out and races with us, as well as the alumni, a majority of which who are working full-time, as this is the battle for second place on screen. Our Muhammad Aleef just rocketed around the 13 of Matt Morton. Maybe some trouble for Morton coming out of turn 2 that time by, but Aleef on his charge to the front, he really wants that race. He really wants that race win to lock himself into the playoffs.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a battle for second there. The Ball State machine just went flying past Matt Morton. Now Aleef, I mean, he is up to second, but he's got a lot of ground to make up if he's going to make his way back to Logan Clampett. So, you know, with less than 50 laps to go here, it looks like the 23 is going to bring it down pit road. That alternate strategy, this might be the last time we need to see Williams on pit road here. But since it's under green, this is going to be a huge stop for the Clemson team.
They need to hit their marks, get on pit road. Looks like Williams was able to do that relatively cleanly, as I think that was an Apollo driver missed pit road or got really loose down onto the track. But Williams got to get in his box, get the tires on the car, and get back out as quickly as possible, as he's going to go about a lap and a half, 2 laps down on this cycle if we stay green.
Yeah, the other thing, though, is if this stays green, there is a higher than 0% chance that everyone else is going to have to bring it down pit road as well. So this could work out in Drew Williams' favor, especially with the rain coming here at Virtual Darlington. You never know how this is going to shake out, but certainly the alternate strategy is going to be the only chance tonight for Drew Williams. He's had good pace, but maybe not elite pace. But the alternate strategy might get him where he needs to go, or could bury him deep into the field, depending on how this cycle plays out. But starting to see a few more takers down pit road as well. Duncan O'Connor down, Matt Burton. Looks like Drew Jawal also down on pit road, or actually no, that might be Tim Robb.
That's Tim Robb, yeah, and he missed his pit box. He had to back up a little bit. That is a very, very costly mistake for that American University team.
Yeah, and that's especially under green flag pit conditions. It's that much more devastating because you'll just lose that much more time on track. But a couple of cars who stayed out earlier on starting to come down pit road here, and these fresh tires are going to be a godsend for those drivers. However, will they have enough time to utilize them is the question.
And especially here we go. Logan Clampett down pit road. So the strategies are merging. These drivers realize they might not have enough fuel to make it to the end or tires, as Logan Clampett, there you see the Darlington stripe on the right side of his car. Even the dominant force in the latter half of this race falling to the mercies of Darlington, the lady in black. He's going to get the right sides up on that car, get some new tires, all 4 fresh Goodyear rubbers, and get that car off of pit road as quickly as possible, as he has now conceded the lead to our Muhammad Aleef and Ball State University.
Now the question becomes, if you're Aleef, do you try and come down now and match what Clampett's doing, or do you go as far as you can in the other direction strategy-wise just to get some difference and see if it works out your way as opposed to his?
Well, the question is, can you make it another 18 minutes? We've got 18 minutes left in this race until the rain hits, and it will be considered official. So we will not go the full distance. We can't run 40 laps in 18 minutes. So the longer Aleef and Morton stay out, the longer they stay out, the quicker these drivers on new tires are going to catch up to them. But they're going to get ever so closer to making it on time to the end of the race. There's Andrew Burl and Matt Burton coming down pit road to get their cars serviced. Both of them in and out of their boxes relatively cleanly.
Burton had already been down once. I wonder what happened to have to bring the 33 down a second time. Under green flag conditions, that's devastating, as Tim Moore missed the entrance to pit road.
And he's backing it up on the track. I don't think race control is going to be very happy with that, as he's got another car coming in. Almost contact. Who is that came down pit road?
Whoever it is also almost pit road. I think that might be Zach Tallman in the 71.
Yeah, Zach Tallman from Penn College almost making contact with Tim Moore, who had to revert. He missed pit road, had to reverse back out onto the track to get back onto pit road. I don't think race control is going to be very happy with him. Dangerous move that almost collected Tallman. even though Tallman himself almost missed pit road.
And that's why it was so dicey, I think, is because if Tallman came down where he was planning on coming down, it probably wouldn't have been as close. But, two wrongs don't make it right in that scenario is those two cars. Let's take a look at the replay to see how close that was between the 074 and the 71 as this green flag pit cycle continues.
Oh, he actually got way sideways in turn 3, a little too fast, entering the flat part down on the apron, and he just couldn't get slowed down in time to make it into pit road.
Yeah, the shifting backwards there is definitely a dangerous situation with everyone coming down track, especially in the middle of a pit cycle. And there you see Tallman overshooting the box as well, able to sneak it in at the last second. But, yeah, dicey situation for both drivers.
Our Muhammad Aleef continues to lead out front as
that was almost really bad.
Wow, what a move from Logan. Unlap himself from our Muhammad Aleef, sending it 3 wide between Aleef and Austin. I believe that's
it was Michael Sidor.
Or another lapped car. Very dangerous move to go 3 wide here at Darlington, but even more dangerous when it's versus the leader.
Not only was it dangerous against the leader, but it was he himself put him in the middle of that scenario. How they all made it through unscathed is beyond me. But that was a scary moment to be sure. I'm sure for both Clampett and Aleef. That was it's like having a missile shoot right next to you there. You're just trying to make sure it doesn't collect to both of you. But those fresh tires really working for Clampett right now. You can see him; he's still in the top 10 even after pitting. Obviously, he has a lot of track to make up, but he is really cutting into that deficit in a hurry against the drivers on older tires. So we'll have to see if he has enough time here with the virtual rains coming in, or if Aleef has enough fuel to hold on to the end.
15 minutes to go on the dot, and I think Aleef, who needed a Hail Mary strategy to win he needed a Hail Mary strategy to win this race and get his way into the playoffs, and I believe that is exactly what he's going for. He is shooting the moon. He's going to stay out as long as he can on those tires. The gap to Morton behind has grown by about a half a second in the last couple of laps. It was at about 3.7-ish to Morton, now holding at 4.6, 4.5 seconds. So Aleef winning on the pace differential right now. If he can hold on and win this thing, that would be an incredible Hail Mary walk-off victory for our Muhammad Aleef to get into the playoffs.
And if he does make it, all of a sudden that puts a couple of drivers that were going to potentially be in on the outside in very serious jeopardy. Drew Williams is currently still in the top 10. Jake Cummings is still actively in the top 10. But, for someone like Clint Halterman, who had a rough day, that could be spelling some trouble. Duncan O'Connor hanging into the top 10. But with that cut line moving up, all of a sudden you start getting a little more tense if you're in that situation. I think Tim Robb would be the one in the biggest jeopardy, currently being scored back in the 20th position off the lead lap. He really, he had a decent points advantage as the 43 into the wall there. Sky Shrek making a bit of contact on the outside wall, but all of a sudden a new winner could really jeopardize several drivers' playoff aspirations here.
Yeah, Tim Robb was 20 points above the cut line coming into this race. He is currently being scored 20th at the moment. He's 11 positions behind Drew Williams, who was plus 14. So the advantage is going to go to Williams, as well as Duncan O'Connor and Jake Cummings, all in the top 10. So I believe if there's going to be a driver that loses out on a playoff spot due to Aleef winning, it would be Tim Robb. So it just shows you how quickly everything can unravel here in the last stages of the race. At the moment right now, looks like the regular season champion is going to go the way of Matt Morton. Drew Jawa currently being scored, I believe, just outside the top 15. Clint Halterman took the car to the garage. He is out of the race. Matt Morton running second. And he was 2 points behind Jawa coming in. So if beats Jawa by 3 positions, he is the regular season champion. So a lot of action to keep an eye on in the point standings, even though the action on may have settled out just a little bit. But our Muhammad Aleef still out front, and in fact, that lead continues to grow. He is going to go for it and try to make it to the end of this race with the equipment he's got. Morton, O'Brien, and Cummings are not going to come down pit road. I believe DeLong and Vighton are included in that group. Also, the top 6 making the gamble call to stay out and wait for the caution to end the race. In 12 minutes remaining now.
And with 12 minutes remaining, it sounds like a good a time as any to let these engines roar across the stretches of Darlington while we have a minute. Let's do a little CIL crank it up action here in the regular season finale.
Welcome back to CIL College Cup Series action. It is the regular season championship race from Darlington Raceway. The Southern 200, our second race of the season. And right now, the regular season championship is going the way of Matthew Morton. Currently runs P2. He was 2 points, only 2 points behind Drew Jawa coming into this race. And Jawa is nowhere to be seen in the top 10. Clint Halterman also in that mix. He has since retired from the race. So by virtue of his position on track, Matt Morton is going to win the regular season championship as it stands, but we still have 8 minutes of racing left before the rain comes and showers over Darlington. We will not make it the full distance. It is our Muhammad Aleef out in front by 4.5 seconds as now Matt O'Brien capitalizes on some lap traffic to get around Matt Morton and claim second place.
Dylan Godinez was really slow coming off of turn 2, and I think Matt Morton was expecting the 808 to be anywhere else except where he was, and the 13 had to really apply the brakes there and lets O'Brien get by with relative ease. Both of these drivers over 4 seconds back of our Muhammad Aleef, but these are not the drivers, I think, in question of who's going to be the one to catch the leaf if there's enough time. The question mark would be on Logan Clampett, I think, who's made a rapid charge back through the field. currently scored in the 5th position and is very rapidly closing in on Jake Cummings.
Logan Clampett on that newer tire strategy. He did come down pit road about 20 laps ago. His crew decided he was not going to make it to the end of the race. Had to come down pit road and get some four fresh tires and fuel. This is now the battle. Drew Williams battling a couple of lap down Penn College of Technology cars. Is the closest car to Williams right now is Duncan O'Connor right behind him. Right now, I think Drew Williams is okay on points despite having Muhammad Aleef win. It's going to be extremely tight after the race if Aleef brings this victory home. And Drew Williams is probably sweating buckets in that seat right now because it was him and Culpa were the two that he did not want to win this race at all, because that means his destiny is no longer in his hands. He is at the mercy of where the other drivers finish on track. Clint Halterman was able to lock his way into the playoffs. He was 39 points above the cut line. Tim Robb now running outside of the top 15. I believe he is going to be sweating as well, trying to get into the playoffs. But Jake Cummings, Duncan O'Connor, Drew Williams, all running inside the top 10. I believe they are good. But after the race, we are going to run the points tallies and get official confirmation from the CIL administration and confirm who will be the last drivers into the College Cup Series playoffs this season.
Yeah, the real question mark, I think, when it comes to Tim Robb is how was he doing entering this race as far as a drop week is concerned. CIL does carry a drop week through the regular season. And 20th, that could be low enough where that may be his drop week, which all of a sudden makes the point situation that much more narrow. So I feel bad for whoever's going to be doing the math here after the race, because it's going to be a really, really dicey situation on points if Aleef is able to hold on to win this race. Right now, 4 seconds clear of Morton, 5 seconds clear of Clampett. The 13 has to check up a little bit getting into that corner, knowing that those tires are a bit worn. 13 laps to go at the stripe here. It is Aleef leading Morton, O'Brien, and now Clampett making the move for third.
Less than 5 minutes remaining in this session until the rains come. And now Clampett able to get and those newer tires. He unlapped himself when he came out of pit road and has since driven all the way around the track to go right by Matt Morton and now is in serious contention for the win. He's got 4 seconds between him and Aleef with 4.5 minutes remaining until the to end the race. This is going to be one heck of a finish. Muhammad Aleef needs to drive the fastest he has ever driven because that gap is coming down extremely quickly.
Yeah, the fresh tires really showing up in the corners there for Clampett. Time running out and what's left in this session. We already know that timer is unforgiving to drivers trying to win on strategy here. We saw it a few weeks ago between Morton and Duncan O'Connor. This is going to be a Herculean effort, I think, by Aleef to try and hold off Clampett. He's got a good advantage, but that is coming down 3 to 4 tenths every corner. And there's only so many corners you can run at that rate before he's on top of you.
3.5 minutes left in the session. The gap is 3 seconds. Muhammad Aleef on the outside looking in, coming into this race. He was 26 points below the cut line. He needs a win to make it into the playoffs, or he needed the drivers in the playoffs before the race to do poorly. Well, 4 of those 5 drivers that were above the cut line are currently in the top 10. So the possibility of making the playoffs for Muhammad Aleef slipping away very quick, as he's got to drive the wheels off of that car to keep Clampett behind him, because Clampett is he's about a second a lap faster than Aleef.
Yeah, and the timer is going to be real close. The problem is, I think it's going to be real close in the favor of Clampett as opposed to Aleef here. You see Aleef had to deal with a bit of lap traffic ahead. He actually, I think, maybe that car going all the way down. I think he's running out of fuel. He has to bring it down pit road.
Down pit road.
12 car is coming down pit road, forfeiting the lead here. Logan Clampett will re-inherit the lead with only a couple of minutes to go. They played that strategy as far as they could, but ultimately not going to be enough here tonight for the Ball State machine.
Aleef and Ball State needed to throw everything they could at the wall to see what stuck. He took the gamble, he took the risk, but ultimately Aleef will probably not make the playoffs this season. The championship 4 contender from last season is watching his shot at a title slip away second by second. He tried his best, but ultimately could not make it to the end. He was 2 minutes shy on fuel, but it is going to go the way of Logan Clampett, Cal State Fullerton, in that 04 machine up at the top, on top of the chart. He's pulling away from Matt Morton behind. He has saved his tires. He has done exactly what he needed to do, and he timed that pass for the win absolutely perfectly.
The person cheering the hardest for that right there was the 5 car of Tim Robb.
Tim Robb and Drew Williams. They loved that. Yep.
Williams was still probably going to make it. I mean, it was going to be close, but he had a good enough run going where he probably was still going to find his way in. Tim Robb, who's currently still stuck back in 20th, that takes all the questions out of it. If this result holds, he'll be fine. Drew Williams will likely be fine. He'll lose a couple points, or no, he'll gain a few points on both Culpa and Aleef. So right now, the playoff picture as it entered will likely be the same as it exited. Aleef nearly threw a massive wrench into the point standings as they came in, but now as that strategy was not able to come to fruition, I do believe that everyone who was to the positive on the points line coming into this race will walk away with a playoff spot.
Under a minute left in the session. We should expect the white flag within the next lap or two. The rain is almost here. The parking lot is wet, and we're going to let these drivers run as much as they can until time expires in the session. But heartbreak for Ball State, elation for Logan Clampett and Cal State Fullerton, as he is going to more than likely walk away with the win in this race. The winning pass inside 6 minutes to go in the session. And it is, man, that was, wow. What an incredible playoff picture coming in. And all the drama, all the chaos in the race shook it up so much. And we're going to be on the edge of our seats to see where everything shakes up after the points are tallied after the race. Got at least 2 more laps left in the race.
Yeah, which means we'll just about get to the scheduled distance if the rain can hold off just a little bit longer. Either way, it'll be very close to that 150 laps that was set at the start of today's race. Clampett currently sitting 2.4 seconds ahead of Matthew Morton, who runs second. Michigan Tech and Matt O'Brien run third with Drew Williams. And now Duncan O'Connor rounding out the top 5 as O'Connor gets around Jake Cummings, who I think has to bring it down pit road.
3 laps left in this race. The timer getting very close to expired. We're going to see if we make it to the scheduled distance or time. Clampett a little bit loose there off of turn 2, but that gap to Morton continues to grow as it looks like Clampett is going to win his 4th race of the season and secure that top seed for the playoffs. With relative ease, it'll be Clampett's 4 wins to Morton's 2, Jawa, Moore, and O'Brien with 1 win each. And it'll be interesting to note that every single regular season race every single regular season race this season was won by a first-time College Cup Series next-gen driver. The rookies.
Yeah, they really showed out this year, and as Logan Clampett, I mean he's no stranger to racing these next gens, just a little different here in the CIL. But he'll come off of turn 4. He'll take the white flag. 1 more lap from Darlington as Garrett Vighton sliding through the infield.
Ooh. And it looks like he kept it straight, and we're going to stay green for Logan Clampett. Backstretch one last time for Cal State Fullerton. He made the pass when it counted with laps to go in the race, and it's going to be Logan Clampett out final time. He's going to win the Southern 200 and the cash prize.
Logan Clampett picks up the victory. Matt Morton from Ohio State will officially come home second. Matt O'Brien from Michigan Tech rounds out the podium as the 71 of Zach Tallman brings that thing down with no front bumper on it. Muhammad Aleef, who came so close, even after having to pit late, will end up finishing 7th as Sky Shrek also off the wall going to the line. people throwing caution to the wind here, trying to bring it home to the start finish line at Darlington.
Logan Clampett from Cal State Fullerton picks up his 4th win of the season, and he's going to burn it down on the front stretch. He's got the most wins this season, and I believe Matt Moore is going to join him as well. Or no, excuse me, that's our Muhammad Aleef going to cross the line with Logan Clampett picking up win number 4 on the season here at Darlington. He's got the cash prize in hand as well, but we're going to be giving some cash to Matt Morton and Matt O'Brien as well. Both of those drivers going to win some money for finishing in the top 3 tonight. And we can officially say that Matthew Morton has won the regular season championship.
Super exciting for Matt Morton there. That'll be a big help to his playoff ambitions here. Brings it home 2nd today after being on pole. Obviously not the result I'm sure he was looking for, but still a strong podium effort to get him a little bit closer to that desired end goal.
We're going to pull all of our top 3 drivers into the booth to get them to interview as Logan Clampett gets the car and celebrate with the fans here at Darlington as the rain begins to fall. And I think he just blew the motor.
All right, now everyone's starting to get out of their car. The joy of making the playoffs or the heartbreak of missing out starting to sink in, I'm sure, for a lot of these drivers. A couple of the drivers who were on the outside looking in had really strong runs today. Jason Wallet brought it home 6th for Drexel, got as high as 3rd at one point. Our Muhammad Aleef was so close if the fuel just held on a little bit longer. Obviously, Andrew Stagey, great day for him, and the 88 machine brings it home 9th. Andrew Burl brings it home 10th for Clemson. A couple of drivers you don't always see in the top 10 bringing home really strong days, but ultimately the top 3 finishers, all previous winners this season.
And we're going to see how those results shake up the playoff standings. We're going to get those points tallies for you as quickly as we can. The stewards doing everything they can to get everything in order so we can get you that information and confirmation as quickly as possible. But for the time being, let's go ahead and interview the man of the hour, the winner of the Southern 200 here at Darlington, Logan Clampett. Congratulations on an amazing performance. You dominated the second half of the race. You came down pit road, took the fresh tires, made the pass for the lead when it counted, and you walked home with the win, number 4 of the season. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So take us through the call to come down pit road. Was it because you were out of fuel, because you thought it was a strategy call? What made you bring that 04 car down pit road?
Well, I wanted to split the run up because I did short fill the car, so I wasn't going to make it. And I wasn't sure if those guys were going to make it. So my best bet was just trying to split the run instead of trying to stay out as long as possible. And thankfully it went green because if there was a caution, I probably would have gotten shifted to the back again. So it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, seems to have been the winning play there. Obviously, you get to bring home the victory, your 4th of the season here. And then looking ahead to the Cup Series playoffs here, starting next week at Kansas. Do you feel Kansas is a track that you do particularly well at, or is that one that's a bit of concern for you?
Kansas can be tricky sometimes, just depending on where the line is going to be at and stuff. But Kansas is usually pretty okay with me, so I'm looking forward to it.
And one more question before we let you go, Clampett. Looking towards the playoffs, you are running in the playoffs in your first season here in the CIS. 3 wildly different but fun tracks ahead of us before we get to Homestead for the championship. With your 4 wins this season, I'd say you're easily the favorite to win the title here this season. So what's your strategy going forward into the playoffs? How are you going to make it to Homestead?
We'll see, man. I mean, obviously, you want to win to get yourself locked in. But anything can happen in these playoffs. Especially when it's at Kansas, Dega, and Michigan. So hopefully, I can get that win at Kansas and just be locked into Homestead.
Well, congratulations on the win tonight, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the College Cup Series playoffs. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out here on the show?
Yeah, thank you guys, as always, and thank you to Titan Esports for supporting me.
Hey, congratulations again, man. Oh, and one more question. I've got to settle something here with Gagnon.
Oh,
What are
yeah.
What are your thoughts on candy corn?
Candy corn? I like candy corn.
Let's
No.
go. There we go. Correct answer.
No. All right, get out of here. Go home.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Hopefully we'll see you back here soon.
Thank you guys.
All right, scores 2-1 there, bud.
I'm going to win this. I'm telling you. But that was Logan Clampett, tonight's winner. Southern 200 here at Darlington. He's going to take home a nice cash prize. Let's go ahead and interview our runner-up finisher tonight, Matt Morton from Ohio State University. Congratulations on a second-place finish here at the hardest oval track on the circuit. We saw you dominate about the first third of this race, but then you fell back for pit strategy. It was also a war of attrition out there. What was it like driving the car out there? Did you have to fight it a lot?
I mean, once it got past a certain point, I'd say probably 30, 40 laps, it was pretty tough to hang on. It was loose off exit, but when I was falling back because I was trying to save as much fuel to the end, it wasn't really much about the tires. It was just going as slow as I can. So maybe earlier in that run, it was a little sketch, but it wasn't too bad wheeling it around this track at the end there.
Yeah, obviously it was a tale of, I feel like a tale of two races out there with how start and stop the first half was versus how green the back half of the run was. Do you think your car benefited more from the constant restart opportunities, or was it better once it was able just to get into a rhythm out in clean air for a good bit of that time?
I mean, I honestly, both weren't too bad of a situation for me. I think I was still able to set up my car for the long runs there, but obviously having the track position in the clean air, restarting wasn't going to be too big of an issue for me. So honestly, just track position and being able to save my tires in front of people really benefited me for long run and short run.
Well, Matthew, congratulations on not only the second place, but also you are the regular season champion. So we'll add that trophy to your cabinet up there at the Buckeye Gaming Collective. Congratulations on that. What does that mean for you going into the playoffs?
I mean, it's a big points booster, obviously, but obviously I think I've been rolling some momentum here the past 3-4 weeks, getting some good finishes and obviously getting the regular season championship. So setting myself up for a good playoff run, and hopefully the momentum can carry over.
Well, congratulations again on your second place finish. Got one more question I want to ask because I got to beat Alex on this. Happy Halloween. What are your thoughts on candy corn?
I'm not a big candy corn guy.
Come
Just
on.
like
It's 3-2. We're coming back, baby.
I feel like if a house gave you candy corn on trick or treat, they just didn't like you. So
All right.
I'm not a big fan of candy corn over here.
I try and be as unbiased as possible as I can in the booth here, but I will remember this, Matt.
Congrats again, Matt. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you go for the evening?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates for racing with me tonight. It was Duncan O'Connor and Matt O'Brien with me. Shout out O'Connor tonight, getting that P5, looking good for the playoffs. Good to have all of us three in the playoffs. So, yeah, I'd like to thank CIL, you guys, for putting this show on. Shout out Buckeye Gaming Collective in Ohio State. It's awesome to represent their school colors out there. And before I go, I want to give a good go Bucks like I always do.
We agree on the candy corn, but we just can't ever agree on that. Congratulations again, Matt. Hopefully we'll see you back here soon in the playoffs.
Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
You too. That was Matthew Morton, our runner-up finisher from tonight's race. Let's go ahead and talk to our third place finisher. another guy who's going to take home some cash, Matt O'Brien from Michigan Tech. Congratulations on the top 3 finish. You are also the overall alumni winner, so some big points to your name in the alumni individual championship as well. You're in the playoffs. Congratulations. You had a really good run tonight. What does your momentum look like going forward as we start the playoff round?
I mean, for Kansas, it's looking pretty good. But once you get Talladega and Michigan, it's going to be those are going to be those races are going to be wild, and momentum ain't going to mean anything there. So they're basically, I mean, plate race at Dega and Michigan with next gens might as well be a plate race too. So
yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting playoff round, that's for sure. Obviously, Kansas being not necessarily a short track, but the shortest of the tracks remaining on the schedule. Wanted to ask you. I mean, you're kind of up in that top 5, top 10 really all day. Was there anything strategy wise that could have went different for you to try and get those last couple of spots, or are you happy taking home the back step of the podium here today?
Nah, there's not much I could have done. I finished with 0.1 gallons, so.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's rolling across the line.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, me and Morton are always in a Discord call for these, and I was telling you early in that run, I was like, I think we can save the it was a little less than 2 gallons. I was like, I'm pretty sure we can save this and gain time. And I obviously Logan flew by us, but I mean he's just in a different zip code. I feel like both of us finished closer than we would have if we went for a one stop there. But I think we made the right call there, and went committed to it. Gave up a few spots, and then shockingly we went green. So yeah, happy with how the race went.
And Matt, congratulations on making it into the playoffs. You've been consistent all season, locked yourself in at Bristol. What do you think is going to be the key for you getting to Homestead?
It's going to just be one race. I mean, the easy thing to say is just win Kansas, but tough competition. I think the biggest thing is just get the best result you could possibly get at Kansas, because Talladega is going to be. It's Talladega. I mean, what else is there to say? So, I mean, you want to have it's going to be tough. That's all.
Tough indeed. One more question, because I got to settle this fight with Alex. Happy Halloween. What are your thoughts on candy corn?
Not good.
Ah, come on.
Yes.
And that's putting it politely.
Yes.
Wow.
All right, it's 3-3, Alex. Aleef's going to settle it.
Oh, no.
Yep. Well, congratulations, Matt, on the excellent finish tonight, and we're excited to see your playoff run. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while we've got you on the show?
Shout out to Duncan for his clutch performance tonight to get in the playoffs. Well, I'm pretty sure that's playoff that got him in. So with his fifth place,
Unofficially, it does sound like that's the case, but obviously we're still doing a lot of number crunching over there. But barring any crazy turn of events, it does sound like that's the case. So we'll obviously hear the official results sooner rather than later. But
yeah, just happy that went green at the end too, just to get some green flag laps, because that first half was a little woozy.
War of attrition indeed, but you came out and you tamed the track too tough to tame. Congratulations, Matt. We're looking forward to seeing you in the playoffs.
Yep, thank you.
That was Matt O'Brien, our third place overall finisher, as well as our alumni. And we want to talk to our Muhammad Aleef. This race won until it wasn't. He needed a win to get into the playoffs, and he shot the moon by staying out on fuel, but ultimately couldn't make it to the end. What was the reasoning behind the call? Like, what went through your mind to say, yeah, I'm going to stay out because I think I can make it?
I think I was saving my tires really well. I was pulling away from the guys behind. It was just fuel. I was just hoping for a caution. I think that was like our only shot to qualify. Took the chance. I think we executed it pretty well, but I think in the end, yeah, it's just wasn't meant to be. Or not the right strategy. So, but yeah, I mean, congrats to all the 11 guys who made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it did come down really close, just a matter of a couple of laps there. Obviously, I'm sure you're hoping things may have worked out slightly differently, but obviously, what's done is done at this point. What is your kind of mindset going into the last couple races of the season here, knowing that there's still wins to fight for, but not necessarily the championship?
I mean, just keep pushing. I mean, we still have the next season to focus on, so I'll be pushing the guys to make sure we iron out all the mistakes, so that by the next season we'll be able to catch Logan, Drew, and the rest.
Yeah, it's been a tough season for a lot of returning drivers with the rookies doing so well. I'm wondering what sort of prep do you think you can do in the off season to get ready for obviously a more even more challenging grid next spring?
I mean, if you look at my official rating, I think I'm like the worst rated driver in terms of official license. So probably just to work more on oval official races. I mean, I've got a Class D right now, so but yeah, I mean, I think that will be it, and then just working with the guys, trying to find more speed, more time, and hopefully we'll be all ready and set for next season.
Well, Aleef, the race may not have gone your way, but we want to leave on a humorous note here. The score is 3-3 between me and Alex. Happy Halloween. What do you like candy corn?
I don't even know what's candy corn, to be honest.
I will be honest.
Like
I didn't say anything, but I was wondering if that was something that is escaped the
wondered
bonds
if
of the
it was
U.S. yet or not.
No, I mean, is that what sweet popcorn?
No, it's so candy corn is like a Halloween candy.
Okay.
How to describe it? Like it's
basically if you give it's almost like
and-
it's like a waxy sort of like candy bit that tastes
Right.
kind of like honey.
Okay. So I guess that would be
it's very controversial. I feel like in the sense that some people love it, like myself, and then some people like Zach really dislike it. So
Disgusting.
we've been asking people what their thoughts on it so far, and it's been basically split decision all day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't even know what that means. I guess it's split again. It's like
I guess
half
so.
point, yeah.
But well, I guess we have to call it a draw.
Yeah.
Man. Well, congratulations on a great season so far, Aleef. Congratulations on your season over in Formula C. Well, complete domination on the open wheel side of things, and we're looking forward to seeing you eventually hoist the trophy over there. But while we've got you on the show, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, my whole team. I think Andrew, who got his first top 10 of his season, so I think very proud of him. And like the whole team, I think for all the effort. I mean, we didn't make it. We made it hard for ourselves, I guess, in the ovals. But I mean, we've got Wednesday to fight for and try to clinch the championship by, I think, 2 more rounds in the Formula Championship. So yeah, that'll be the next focus.
I believe right now it's clinch at race 1 of Imola.
Oh wow!
As it stands, so
Yep.
you can get it. You can get it 3 whole GPs early.
Very nice. Okay.
Well, congratulations, Aleef. We're looking forward to seeing you back here in the booth soon. And happy Halloween.
Thank you. See you guys.
That was Muhammad Aleef, who almost had it done. He played the strategy, played the gamble, but unfortunately, it just what you heard it. You heard him say it. It wasn't meant to be. Just not enough there. But we know for a fact he'll be back next season. He's got that fire. He's got that drive to fire up that Ball State team to help him rally to the playoffs next time around. But
Yeah,
I believe
also, next
Go ahead.
time around, we may have an answer to the never-ending candy corn debate here in the CIL broadcast booth. But no, to your point of what I think you were about to say before I so rudely cut you off, I do believe it is time for the end of race results here.
Here are your official results for the Southern 200 at Darlington Raceway. Logan Clampett and State Fulton take home the win. with a pass in the dying minutes of the race. Matt Morton, our regular season champion for Ohio State University, brings it home second, and the driver on the podium, Matt O'Brien from Michigan Tech University. Drew Williams for Clemson University, he'll finish fourth. Duncan O'Connor finishes P5 for Nova Scotia Community College. P6 goes to Jason Wallet of Drexel University, I believe his best finish of the season thus far. Our Muhammad Aleef finishes second. Ball State University, the first car 1 lap down. Drew Jawa, P8 for Chattahoochee Tech. Andrew Stagey, his best career finish for Ball State University in P9. And Andrew Burrell, Clemson University, finishes P10.
Yeah, finishing 11th tonight, it is Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology, just ahead of Tim Moore from Manhattanville College. Colin Kolpa from Indiana University brings it home 13th. Garrett Vighton, 14th for Arizona State, and 15th is Wingate's Jake Cummings. Jacob Wiest had himself quite the evening, but he'll bring it home 16th for UNC Charlotte. Nicholas Bedemlik, 17th for St. John's University, and Sky Schreck for the University of Oklahoma, the last driver 3 laps down. Kelton Quick will bring it home 19th tonight for Ball State, and Tim Robb, despite finishing 20th 5 laps down, does appear will make the College Cup Series playoffs.
P21 goes to PCT's Dylan Godinez. Nick Stockner, after being involved in a few incidents, will finish 22nd. Major Monsivice finishes 23rd for Texas A&M International. A pair of Penn College of Tech drivers will finish 24th and 25th, Zach Tallman and Michael Sidor. Tristan LeClaire, P26 for St. Clair College. Matt Burton, P27 for East Tennessee State. 28th goes to Lucas Moody from Ball State University. Timothy Wilms will finish 29th for Drexel University. And Thomas Toomey will finish P30 for UVA.
And rounding out the rest of the field tonight, Clint Halterman, despite finishing 31st tonight, will make the College Cup Series playoffs with that point advantage he brought in tonight. Zarin Bartholomew from St. Clair in 32nd. Jared Kaler out early tonight for UNC Charlotte in 33rd. We heard from him earlier in the race. Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College will miss the playoffs this season, finishing 34th tonight at Darlington, with Matthew Nordberg from NC State and Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate rounding out the rest of the field.
That is the final grid for tonight's Southern 200 here at Darlington. And ladies, officially time. This is the moment you all have been waiting for. Here are 10 playoff drivers for Season 9 of the College Cup Series. Your number 1 seed, the regular season champion, Matthew Morton from Ohio State University. Number 2 seed goes to Drew Jawa from Tech. Number 3, Logan Clampett from Cal State Fullerton. Matthew O'Brien, the 4th seed from Michigan Tech. Duncan O'Connor, you heard him get a shout out. He has clutched his way into the playoffs for Nova Scotia Community College. Drew Williams survived a scare for Clemson University. He will be the number 7 seed. Clint Halterman, thanks to that points gap he brought in, will make the playoffs despite a poor finish tonight. He will bring it in number 8 for UNC Charlotte. Jake Cummings has also made the playoffs as well for Wingate University. And the final driver in the playoffs is Tim Robb from American University. So ladies and gentlemen, there are 10 playoff drivers who are going to go racing for a championship over the next 4 rounds. It's going to be a very tight battle, and Alex, I think this is, without a doubt, the best playoff field that we could have this season.
You look up and down that lineup, there's not a single driver I see there that goes, oh, how did they sneak their way? Every one of those drivers very deserving of their spot in the College Cup Series playoffs, and I am really excited to see what they do over these next 3 weeks. Kansas will be a really good test of speed. We'll see who can get lucky at Talladega and put themselves in the right position, and then we'll see who's willing to take that big shot at Michigan to round it out to see who will make the race at Miami. So a couple of really fun weeks ahead before we reach the championship race.
Yeah, now that our Southern 200 at Darlington, our regular season is done and dusted, and Logan Clampett took home the win, but Matthew Morton gets the last laugh with the regular season championship. We have made the cut to the 10 best drivers in the College Cup Series this season. For our 3-race playoff round, next week at Kansas, Talladega on November 13th, and the cutoff race for our championship 4 at Michigan on November 27th, all leading up to the Championship 200 Homestead Miami Speedway on December 4th. 3 races are in the playoff round, and that means 3 chances to get to Homestead to fight for a championship. The playoffs will start next Monday night, so be sure to tune in to the Flyover State 200 from Kansas Speedway as the playoffs begin and the action turns up to 11. The Ignition Zone pre-race show will start at 8:30 Eastern with race coverage beginning at 9 p.m. only on the CIL Twitch and YouTube channels. And if you can't wait for more CIL action, it's another cash grab race this Wednesday night as Formula C goes to the equivalent of Super Speedway racing. It's a CIL tradition like no other, the Finger Lakes Grand Prix from Watkins Glen International. No other race in FC has sowed as much chaos, caused as much drama, and produced as many surprise podium finishers as the Finger Lakes GP. But to sweeten the deal, our podium finishers will earn some cold, hard cash. As you heard earlier, our Muhammad Aleef and State already have one hand on the Formula C Drivers' Championship trophy, but the battle for the rest of the overall podium, all the way down through the top 10, is only heating up with 5 races left in the season. On-track action will start at 8:45 p.m. Eastern with lights out at 9 p.m. And I believe that's going to do it for us tonight. So on behalf of myself, co-commentator Alex, producers Christian, Keith, and John, and all of us at the CIL, I'd like to wish you all happy Halloween and to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's Southern 200. And until next time, stay fast.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.